everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James.
And today we're going to be talking about the last 2 episodes of Singles Inferno 2. Oh man.
Yes.
James, are you excited? How you feeling? How was your week?
Oh, it feels good to be right, Sarah. That's
Yes, you read the edit right. Congratulations.
That's how it feels. Great episodes. I just want to say thanks to Singles Inferno. And thanks to the cast of Singles Inferno for the great season.
Yeah, it was good.
I think definitely better than Singles Inferno 1, right?
Ooh,
I think.
I hadn't considered comparing them.
I really remember Singles Inferno 1 kind of being like lackluster at the end. Like it not really, it was just like whatever. Kind of.
Well, the timing for when they added the extra people kind of made it
they,
so they
did
couldn't
it better, yeah.
do anything. Yeah, so they definitely improved that.
I just want to jump right into talking about this a little bit, but
Okay.
I just want to start by saying I don't know if I've ever rooted for anything more on unscripted TV in my life. You know, like
Really?
yeah. But I'm
Wow.
including sports in this.
Wow,
Like
that's
the
impressive.
Phillies were in the World Series this year. I was rooting for Seulgi to pick Jongwoo more than the Phillies to win the World Series. I think I was so invested in this story.
Amazing. Wow. I don't know that I can. I don't know what it's like to care about sports that much, so I can't have a direct correlation. But I think I was really rooting for other choices to go differently, which we could get to later. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy that she picked him,
Okay.
but perhaps not as happy as you.
I was thinking maybe when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
But even like the Eagles winning the Super Bowl didn't make me cry, you know? Like
Oh, okay, okay.
Like they didn't make me feel like this.
Fair.
So, yeah. Great TV. Thank you, Singles Inferno. Again, quality stuff.
Yeah. So it's safe to say you're in a better mood going into this recording than you were last week.
Yes. I'll still have some snarky comments here and there, but yeah,
Of course.
I'm not feeling animosity this week, no.
Good.
I have some comments from the listeners, but is there anything you want to talk about before we get into that?
Well, I think the only thing I have going on that can compare to apparently your excitement for the end of this season is that Monsta X released a new album this week, and it is amazing, and I love it, and everybody should check it out. That's all.
Ooh.
That's my hype for this week.
Yeah. That's some serious hype from Sarah, right?
Well,
What gets
yeah.
more exciting to you than Monsta X's new albums?
The time we went to see them. That's about it.
Okay.
This is maximum hype for me.
Okay. All right. Well, nothing but good feels on this podcast. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a good amount of comments from listeners from our last podcast.
Yeah, it was great hearing from people.
I actually want to share a few of them. Can't talk about them all,
Mm-hmm.
but share a few of them. In general, I would say people agreed with us and didn't agree with us on the things that we said.
Those are the options, yes.
Yes. And yeah, even for like Seulgi Jongwoo being the story of the season, some people did agree and some people didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We got a comment from Ruth, and she bravely admitted that she was crushed by my take in particular on Yoonjae in the last episode.
Oh.
And I just wanted to apologize slightly
Mm-hmm.
because I was a little heated coming into the last episode. I think I got a little carried away, but
Okay.
I do stand firm on my position about the fight pit in particular. Like I still don't know why it needed to be a 2v1, and I feel like even though it's not against the rules, it felt like dirty to me.
Mm.
But there's no reason that I can't continue to root for Yoonjae and his relationship with Seo-eun and just hope for good vibes. You know?
Yeah.
I think I might have gone a little too far.
I still hope they do not have a fight pit next season. Let's find some.
I think they're going to
situation.
because they're
Everyone else seemed real hyped
Yes.
about this fight pit. Oh my god!
It really seemed like you and I were the only two people that had a problem with the fight pit.
Oh,
To the point,
yeah.
I wanted to mention there's actually two 30-minute videos on YouTube of reunions of the cast watching
Mm-hmm.
the first 8 episodes together,
Yes.
which we're going to share in the description for this episode,
Mm-hmm.
if anybody wants to watch those. The men actually went as far as to say that it was hard to watch the women's wrestling match. Like, that was more of a controversy to them than their own brutality that they went through. Like,
It baffles me. I don't understand this at all.
they're like, those 7 seconds of grappling that the women had to do was just hard to watch. Like, they really could have gotten hurt.
Meanwhile, like, we spent these 2 final episodes, and like in every scene you can see somebody with something bandaged from this ridiculous fight.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yeah. But Ruth's comment did make me rethink about the first date that Yunji and Samhain had and how well that went. And that was really nice. And we're basically going to get to see the exact same date again in this episode, which was a little weird, but there's some differences we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overall, Sarah, do you feel like the more we watch these shows, the more it feels like the Korean priority and relationships may not align like perfectly with what we think?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I knew that going in, but it won't stop me from thinking that things should be different on these shows sometimes.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's like cultural or if it's just like, the people that they cast for the show are just different, because you kind of do have to be different to be on these shows to some degree.
I like that you haven't listed us being wrong as an option, and I'm fine with that.
I mean, in my own narrative that I created, but like obviously it can be lost in translation. Like I'm confident that I'm like, I feel good about my stance on the narrative that I am seeing. Now the narrative I'm seeing could be wrong, and then the reality of the situation would change my views on it. But yeah, I feel good about my opinions about like what makes a good relationship and does not.
Yeah. Okay.
We got another comment from Caitlin, who let us know that our reactions to Jin Young in the last episode were totally different than most Korean reactions.
Yep. We stand alone on these fight pit feelings.
Caitlin said Jin Young was praised for breaking up with Minsu and then doing whatever it took to win the fight pit game to be with Solgi.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I mean, I could see that interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if because I remember I did. I don't know if you did. I was down on his breakup with Minsu because it felt a little bit too like, it's not you, it's me kind of like cliche. But maybe that part of that's like lost in translation. I don't know.
I mean, either way, I was just happy somebody was having an open conversation and being like, look, it's not happening. You can move on now.
Yeah, okay.
Which I always appreciate on these shows because it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, that's true. Still Team Jungwoo. Actually, okay. I don't know what's going to mention this. When you got to the end of this, Sarah, and it was like the final decision.
Yeah.
I realized in this moment that I wasn't rooting for Jungwoo as much as I was just like rooting for Jin Young not to beat Jungwoo. To the point that like I was almost watching this final moment being like, how fucking badass would this be if Solgi was just like, good game, boys, and then she just like walked off with none of them. Like, that shit would have been so baller. I
always want that option. Yes, please give me a badass woman who doesn't give a fuck and just leaves the island by herself. I would love it.
It's way better when you have multiple guys that you're walking away from. I think, which like lowers the chance of it happening, but it would have been way badass.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, I just like didn't like, based on what I was seeing in the show, like I just didn't want Jin Young to beat out Jungwoo in the end, more than just like oh, I need Jungwoo and Solgi to be a couple. Like, that wasn't really it, And then we have another comment from Stephanie, who recommended that we watch Transit Love 2, which we talked about in the last podcast as well. And I've heard from a friend that it's good, and now Stephanie seemed excited about it. So I think after our next 2 WWE episodes, we will be starting Transit Love 2. We're going to skip Transit Love 1. Just go right to 2, because people are recommending 2.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, so sometime in early-ish February is when we'll get to Transit Love 2.
And yeah, we're going to start with the first episode and then just kind of see what happens. See if folks like it, if we like it. It might just be a Transit Love podcast for a while. Who knows?
It might be, yeah. I've watched the first episode. I don't want to go ahead of what we'd be doing on the podcast. I think we'll do at least more than one episode based on what I've watched so far.
You said there weren't any dates in the first episode, so we got to get to some dates at the very
Yeah,
least.
it's like learning the rules of the show, being introduced to everybody is kind of the first episode.
Okay.
But Transit Love 2 is not available on any mainstream streaming services that I could find in the US.
That's a bummer.
So I was watching it on a site called Kiss Asian, Kiss Asian. Maybe the listeners can recommend a better way to watch it. I'm not sure. And also, It seemed like, I feel like I saw that there's going to be a Transit Love 3 this year at some point, which could be fun for us to cover when that's being released.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when it's coming out, though, so that's another thing the listeners can maybe help us out with. I'm guessing June, July-ish, because that's when the first 2 seasons were started coming out.
Seems like a reasonable guess.
So that's my guess. So it's a little bit ways away. But yeah, if the listeners could help us out with that, that'd be cool. Yeah. So thanks for the comments. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Are you ready, Sarah, to get into?
I am so ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, Sarah, where did we leave off at the end of episode 8?
The end of episode 8, we left off in the fight pit. It was a bummer. Except not to anybody except for us, I guess.
Specifically, Yoonjae has placed first.
Yes.
Jungwoo managed to get second, and Jin Young is in third. And I believe your prediction was Jungwoo was about to cry, is where we left off.
Yes, and this episode starts with reiterating their placements, and Jungwoo, in fact, crying on the beach a little bit. And then the hosts all start crying. There's a lot of crying at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, this didn't get me there yet, just because it was kind of centered around the fight pit, which I was still feeling a certain way about.
Mm-hmm.
Jungwoo in the reunion video is going to claim that he didn't cry in this moment.
I'm gonna call BS. He cried a little bit.
I couldn't tell. The music really makes it seem like he's crying, but he also just was in a actual fight. So it's hard to tell what any facial expression.
I don't know. His face was all scrunched up, and he was at least going through it at the moment. We'll say that
he had to be
having an emotional moment.
He had to be feeling something.
Yeah. And then we get everybody's walking away from the fight pit, and the girls are all talking about how awesome that was and how amazing Jungwoo was. And I'm like, I read this wrong. I thought everyone was disgusted with the fight pit. Okay.
Yeah. And Nadine here, I think it's Nadine. It was hard to tell who was saying it, but somebody was like, go tell Jungwoo he did well. Solgi.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah. Solgi, I think she just really doesn't like to show emotion in a public space, right?
Yeah.
She's even though she's not good in one-on-ones with some people, she is better in one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And for being a person who doesn't like to be the center of the attention, she sure is the center of attention this entire season, and it's hard for her, it seems.
Yeah. I feel like we're gonna get a lot of Solgi. Maybe this is part of the edit trick, but Solgi is gonna tell Jin Young how cool he was in the fight pit. But
yes.
Does Solgi ever compliment Jungwoo? They talk about his wounds, right? But they don't. I don't know if she's like, "Oh, you were so cool in the fight pit."
She might be when they're on their date.
She had to have said that, right? I
didn't write it down. She had
to have. They might not have been in the show, but she had to have said that.
I mean, she definitely throughout the season has complimented him on other things. It's just maybe he doesn't outright say, "Hey, good job in that fight pit."
Yeah.
But yeah, the girls go back to their tent and they're talking more about how intense this fight was, and everybody's talking about how Jungwoo was fighting so hard, and then Solgi's like, "Oh, but Jin Young so strategic. He used some techniques," and it's okay, she's still real focused on this boy.
Oh, I didn't take it like that. I took it oh, she's really trying to hint to all the other girls what his profession is.
Oh.
Because she knows what his profession is. So they're oh, he was really good at fighting.
Oh, I thought she was just look at how good at fighting he was. Because
okay.
She was watching him the
I didn't
whole
read
time.
it like that. Okay, yeah.
And I think even when she talks to him later, she tells him that, that he looked cool, and she couldn't, maybe she was rooting for Jungwoo, but she couldn't take her eyes off of him. That's
what she said to Jin.
So into this
She said
boy.
that to Jin Young,
Yeah.
She says that later. That's the last conversation they have before decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to it when we get to it. At that point in time, I really think Solgi has already decided, and she's almost just kind of like playfully flirting with Jin Young at that point. Like she know that's how I took it. Like she
Okay.
like the way she was smiling after the way she said like after saying things to me was just like she knows that she's like kind of just playing with him at this point. But maybe I don't know.
Wow, that's an interesting read.
Like
Okay.
you really think Solgi was undecided until like the day of?
Well, she says she made up her mind by the time they're talking like the night before, right? In theory. I don't know. I mean, I don't think she made up her mind before she went on her date with Jungwoo.
Yeah, I was thinking about like if Jungwoo doesn't get second place here
Mm-hmm.
and never goes on a date with Solgi.
I don't think she picks him.
Yeah. I want to believe that she would have, but the one barrier is that she would never have found out his age and occupation, which could be a major roadblock. But like when she
Just
said
the not knowing of it. Okay.
yeah.
Except they all share the night before the final pick, which is weird.
Yeah, I couldn't remember they did that last season.
I don't think they did.
At some
But
point, they
it's been a
revealed
while.
like some of the girls who never went to Paradise, though, like the two girls that. So
Maybe they
I
did.
feel like they
I don't
did it. It
remember.
just wasn't as impactful as Jin Young would say. Yeah, I don't know. I believe Solgi when she says that like she would have picked Jungwoo if she had won the wrestling game.
Uh-huh.
Which makes me believe that, like, going all the way back to the wrestling game, like, she was already leaning Jungwoo, and she still had not gone on a date with him.
I think that would have been she wanted to go on a date with him to figure things out. Like, she was at least leaning in the direction of giving him a chance. I wouldn't go as far as to say leaning in the direction of picking him at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm saying, like, leaning in the direction of him as long as his age and occupation match up with whatever criteria is, like, you know? Like, this is the only obstacle. So if they never go, it's hard to say. Maybe she just walks off with nobody. They never.
No,
no.
I don't. I think the pressure to pick somebody is too much in the
If
show.
only we could watch the parallel universe where Jungwoo gets third. That would be amazing. Yeah, so the girls are in the tent. Nadine at some point says that the highlight for her was Jungwoo, Hanbin, and Jin Young. So apparently
Yeah.
Hanbin was looking good in this.
Well, I mean,
And
he's the smallest guy, right? And he did not go out first. So, he put up a bit of a fight.
Yeah, and then did you catch in the YouTube, like the reunion videos? It seemed like Dongwoo was saying Hanbin seemed like he was like into jujitsu or like something like.
Oh, is that who he
So,
was saying it about? I wasn't
thought
sure.
he was pointing at Hanbin. So, and then Nadine said that Hanbin was impressive. So I feel like there was something that Hanbin was doing that like didn't really make the edit, but he must have looked impressive in the fight pit.
To be honest, I was not observing the fight pit with a critical eye, trying to look at like sweet techniques. I was mostly going, "Oh God, please stop!" So hard for me to say.
And the girls have no idea who Jin Young is gonna pick.
As always, he's a mystery. They don't know what he's thinking.
Well, in the third place spot, I think they did know at this point that he would have picked Solgi. But as the third place person, they don't know who he's gonna pick.
Yeah.
Although for us as the audience, I feel like this was obvious, only because
of the edit that Sejong got.
Yeah, yes. Sejong was completely edited out of the show, and we got a conversation earlier where he was like, "I'm curious about you, Nadine." So that was like setting up for this decision, I felt like. So I was expecting it to be Nadine the whole time. And the more the show tried to convince me it wasn't going to be Nadine, I was like, it's going to be Nadine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What next? I have there's going to be a conversation between Sejun and Zoe.
Oh, yes. Yes, this was cute. They are always cute together. I like them together.
I like the very beginning of this. Sejun is actually like, I guess this is weird. I can't think of like other times I've seen this, but he's like waiting by himself outside of the girls' tent.
Not just waiting, he's like sitting in the seat there. Like,
he's
he would sit
chilling
on the porch of the guy's tent, except he's in front of the girls' tent.
Yeah, he's just hanging out. And then this must be weird because Zoe comes back to the tent and is like, wait, isn't this the girls' tent? Like, she's confused by the fact that he's sitting on the girls' porch.
But also, like, I think she had a little sass in it. She's like, what are you doing here? This is my porch. Like, you don't belong here.
I thought she was, like, actually just worried she was about to walk into the wrong tent. And Seijin says, "You're acting kind of cold since you went to paradise with somebody else."
He teases her so much. It's great.
That's so good. They're joking together
And
to get
yeah,
about
yeah,
it though.
it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And yeah, he's just being like really charming and like he's like, yeah, it's gonna be good if you stay tonight because I bring all the fun and we'll have lots of fun together if you stay here. And it's like, yes, I continue to like this pairing.
Yeah, they talk about how Inferno, the previous night without her, was so much fun, and then Seijin says, "Where I'm at is where the fun is."
Which
That's
I
so
believe
good.
him. Like he seems pretty funny.
I feel like he's not the center of the fun, but he might have been where the fun is by coincidence.
I think he brings a fair amount of his own fun. Maybe not all of it, but a
Maybe.
decent
We
amount.
don't really get to see him outside of his good conversations with Zoe, but do we? I'm trying to think.
There's a couple moments where he's like joking around with people in the tent the like night before, and there's a thing later when he figures out that Nadine goes to Harvard
Oh.
where he's very silly.
Oh,
and
that
it's-
is. Oh yeah, he did have that like fight me bro moment with Silgi. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was funny. But yeah, Seijun and Zoe, they're talking about desserts again.
hmm
And Seijun hopes that Zoe stays in Inferno this time
Yes.
and doesn't get picked by any of the fight pit victors.
I don't think we have to worry about that. That would have been a crazy pick if Jin Young had been like, Zoe, let's go. Like, what? That would have come out of nowhere and been amazing.
Seijun went as far as to say, apparently on Inferno, they were having so much fun last night that people laughed until their throats hurt. That's pretty intense.
That seems like maybe an exaggeration, but it's good that the people get left behind had a good time.
And then they're gonna shake hands and agree to have fun on Inferno together.
Always with the handshaking.
And then Seijun is gonna touch her skin because he was making sure she wasn't getting sunburned. Is that what was going on? Did you notice this?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was like,
You're so touchy.
yeah, he's like always sort of trying to take care of her, but also it's a convenient excuse to like touch her, I guess, which long as she's fine with it, cool.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Yeah, yeah.
I could see it being weird, but it seems fine here. Jin Young is gonna come to talk to Seolgi.
Yes. And
And
sad Jongwoo sees them walk off to talk.
yeah. I want to point out though, because I talked about how he was like a little aggressive last episode when he interrupted Seolgi and Jongwoo, and then they remained on the porch right where Jongwoo could hear them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This time, when he's like not, out, super
Oh,
jealous, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. He actually asks her to go somewhere and talk in private, like
Yeah.
he- it is the normal thing to do, to be like, hey, do you want to go talk in private?
I
Not
think
like-
also this time he is prepared to be a little bit more open and say some things that maybe he doesn't want overheard,
Yeah, because last time, like, he wasn't even trying to have like a serious conversation. It was just like, it was something else besides like actually
yeah.
trying to have a serious conversation with Seolgi. That's what I still think.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this is a more direct, serious conversation, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they go into like the changing hut or wherever they get ready. And this is where she tells him that she thinks he was awesome. And he's just like, well, I got third. It sucks because he's got second, so he's going to take you, and there's like nothing I can do about it. He starts to try to tell her that their trip to paradise was impactful, and he doesn't know that she's heard about how he keeps saying things are
Yeah.
impactful, so she teases him. She's just like, oh, yeah, I've heard about how impactful things are for you.
Do you think Jin Young feels like he got caught here a little bit, or it's like it doesn't actually matter to him? Like from his perspective, he was just using a word, like he wasn't. It
Yeah,
didn't really
I
matter.
think like the thing he said was so vague to begin with. Like he said the other trip he took to paradise was impactful in a different way, which is could just be like, yeah, I did not get along with that girl and it impacted me such that I definitely know that I want this other girl, like it could mean anything.
Yeah.
So like
It meant more to Seolgi than it did to Jin Young, I think.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the word-
exactly.
the using of the word, yeah.
hmm
I want to break down a few things that Jin Young says here,
Okay.
because he's really trying to be cool, but I think I need to call him out for some stuff here.
Okay.
Okay. And then of course, this is a little bit, especially this example I'm going to give is a little bit like at the mercy of whatever the translators,
Oh yeah, of
the
course.
words of the translators here. Um, but he's going to be like, "Oh, I wasn't really interested in first place," you know, like kind of trying to act cool, like he wasn't trying his hardest, but like he would have wanted first place. It was if it was him and Jungwoo and as the final two, you know. It's like he's like being very specific to the situation, you know. And then
I actually think he's not trying to be cool here. I think he is specifically
oh
being like, I only cared as much about this as I did because I needed to beat him so that way he wouldn't take you to paradise.
oh, that would be very uncool if that's what the vibe he was going for. That would be making it like it
Well,
wasn't even about him and Sogi. It was just about not
okay,
being
well maybe not.
Jungwoo.
Yeah, maybe so he could take her to paradise instead of Jungwoo.
Yeah,
Sure. Something along those lines.
yeah. I don't know. There's some, but here's the bigger thing I didn't like
Hmm.
because what triggers me a little bit now. This is again. I don't know. This is just translation error
Right.
potentially.
Hmm.
But when people use like negative words for no reason, kind of like triggers me a little bit.
Okay.
So Jin Young says here, "Oh, Jungwoo was really desperate to win." And
Ah.
to me, if we were going to categorize as a person that was desperate to win, I would say Jin Young was the one that was desperate to win. Like
I would say they were both
like
desperate to win.
he was willing to like take help to win the fight essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and the word I would immediately use to describe Jungwoo in the situation was that he was determined to win, which is the positive word, a more positive word to use about it. And
I think both words could be used equally for both of them.
but the choice is so
Hmm.
it's yeah. Jungwoo is going to describe himself as determined to win later, which I think is the appropriate. If you're trying to be a positive person,
Yeah.
but Jin Young here is like actively trying to like make Jungwoo appear negative, so he uses the word desperate. And it's not even,
Okay.
and it's not even necessarily that like he did it intentionally. It's just like how people's brains work, you know. They like
Yeah.
you can tell that he's trying to really lessen his competition by using the word desperate. When to me he was coming off way more desperate based on the
Okay. Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just one of my own like pet peeves that I have
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
about stuff. I think Jin Young here is going to tell Sogi that he's already decided who he will pick since he can't pick Sogi.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't come out like she asked him for this information, so it's not like he's going, "Well, I know who I'm going to pick because I can't." Like that's a different attitude. But
Yeah. And then he says it's going to be somebody that he says though that it's somebody that whose identity he is curious about, which feels like
yes,
another dead giveaway that it's going to be Nadine. So
yes,
they're
yes,
not really
because
trying
we
to
all
pick a
know
star.
that he said he was curious about her.
Yeah, Sogi has no idea, but we know.
And like mostly like because she asks what he based it on, like she's looking for reassurance that he's just like, well, I just picked a random person because it couldn't be you, so it doesn't mean anything. But he does not go that route. He's just like, it's somebody I'm curious about. So like, I think he did not help himself in the long term with this response, even though it is an honest response. Um, but I think if anything was impactful to Solgi, that was probably it.
Yeah, yeah. I am very curious to know like where Solgi is like on the fence at this point. You know,
Mm, yeah.
uh, probably at this point, maybe there's like some perfect thing Jin Young can say that maybe would have changed things, but I don't know.
I think based on the fact that she wants to know how he's choosing this person shows that she at least gives a shit. Like she's still potentially going to pick him. If she was full on the Jungwoo train at this point, it wouldn't matter who Jin Young picked. It wouldn't matter why he picked them. She wouldn't care. But she still has some amount of feelings for him, and there's still a possibility she would pick him.
Yeah,
And
I see what
for
you're
her to ask
saying.
that,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like I also think like, you know, asking the reason that somebody is going to pick somebody is just something you would do casually potentially, even if it wasn't like the answer wasn't going to change your mind. So, that's why I'm not like so convinced that she's like really on like 50-50 still at this point, but I don't know. What does Junior have to say here? Like, oh, I'm just going to flip a coin, it doesn't matter. I like
yeah,
is that what he's supposed to say?
yeah, he could just
Yeah.
be like, "I'm gonna take Sejong
I
because she hasn't been to paradise before," or just gonna pick anybody who isn't Minsu, honestly. Just because, I need to pick somebody. And, the only person I really wanted to pick, I couldn't, anything like that would have told her that she was forefront for him.
Yeah. I appreciate Jin Young's
but he plays it cool. Yeah, I appreciate the honesty, but like, there's a way to say it that makes it sound like it matters to him that he can't pick her, Which I guess he sort of said I don't know, just, I feel there's a different way he could have worded this that would have made her not make that face that she made when he said it.
Yeah. All I really needed to do was just like elaborate a little more and be like, oh, there's somebody's identity that I'm curious about, but I'm not
really interested in them.
They always use the word curious, so it's hard to not use the word curious, but like, yeah, but I'm not as curious about them as I am as you or something. Like he could have been more forthright. The confusion between these two continues. It's a good thing that they realize that they like can't communicate. I think it's all good for you. Just fast forward the relationship a little bit here. All right, let's go to the guys' tent.
Yes, everyone is intrigued about who Jin Young is gonna pick.
Yeah, and Jin Young actually admits to the guys that he has feelings for two girls, and the other guys are very surprised by this. They literally have no idea who the second girl is. Yeah, I think that's all it from this scene.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, because no one is surprised or cares to discuss who the other two are going to pick. Very straightforward. So then we get the announcements that it's time to pick and go to paradise.
Yes, and thankfully they didn't milk this. I feel like in the past, like the obvious picks have been milked. They do milk the Jin Young pick a little bit because we don't know that one. But I think he says it pretty fast.
But all three of them are out there because that's how this works when you've won a game, which makes it suck for Jin Young, who has to go last and has to like watch Jungwoo and Seulgi leave together.
It's pretty great.
But I do think he learned something about how everybody else takes the girls' bags, because previously he did not take bags, and then at the end of this he tries to take a bag. So
it works.
He's learning something. Yeah. But yeah, so Youngjae goes first. He picks Sawan. Surprise, surprise. Nadine says something while Sawan's leaving the tent that like Youngjae owes her a dinner after the show because she helped him win, and I have no idea what this means.
Oh, wait,
did you pick up on this? Or
I do kind of remember hearing this, but I didn't put forth the effort to try to understand it.
I was so confused. I rewound it and I was like, what is she? Nadine said it. And I have no idea what it means.
Dinners. Yeah, I don't know. Was she taking credit for maybe them being together in the first place to some degree? I don't know.
Solid, maybe.
Was the coincidence that they met in the tent before the first selections, like way back when? Like maybe Nadine had something she did made that possible.
I don't know. I was hoping that you knew, and that's why I brought it up, but I guess not.
She could have, maybe she helped Sawan get ready really fast, and that's why she was available to talk to Jinya or talk to Yoonjae. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't look into it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, Sawan's very happy.
Yep, they are both,
and I'm happy for
super
them.
happy.
I've chosen to take a different path this week. I was much more positive by the time I actually watched these episodes.
Yeah.
I was
good.
I'd recovered. Jungwoo is gonna pick Seulgi.
Surprise!
And yeah, awkward that Jin Young has to watch them leave.
Awkward, but also kind of great.
So Seulgi comes out and she actually laughs and giggles on the way out. She seems excited.
Yeah, they're like telling each other how good they look and having a fun time walking to the thing.
Seulgi, I picked up on this. Seulgi doesn't even look at Jin Young.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
Did you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if again, this is what I'm wondering if she's not motivated to look at him, or she's maybe being respectful to the situation to not look at another guy as she's about to go on a paradise date.
Or also it would just be too awkward to make eye contact with him right now.
She doesn't make a lot of eye contact in general. Yeah,
this is true.
But yeah, they compliment each other's outfits, and I think Jungwoo says, "Oh, that strawberry color looks good on you."
Yes.
Is this the meta of dating, Sarah? That's what I want to know.
What?
Is this the movie? If this was an advice podcast.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we'd be terrible at it, but okay.
Oh no, I'd be great. I'd be great at advice. But if we're just learning from this show,
Okay.
is the move just to tell somebody that the color they're wearing looks nice on them? Is that a good strategy? It seems to work a lot on these shows.
I
That's
mean,
why I bring it up.
it's a nice thing to say. I don't think it's the key to developing a
It
relationship with
seems
someone.
pretty good. It seems pretty fucking good on these shows.
Okay.
It's a high probability of success move, I think. And then my wife pointed this out because we don't get to see it, but as awkward as it was for Jin Young to watch them walk off together, how awkward was the helicopter ride on the way to Paradise?
I know, it had to be so weird.
I don't know. Is there enough room for 3 couples in one helicopter? I don't
think
know.
so. I think last time we were inside the helicopter was when Sejong was holding Zoe's hand and it was just 2 couples. But I think there's a row of seats in front of the seats they were in. At least that's what it looked like. So I think you could theoretically
the cameramen
take.
need to be in there
In
order for us to get footage of it.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess there's got to be a second helicopter, or maybe they just take shifts. I don't know. So maybe they did get to ride separately, but
incredible missed helicopter ride potentially.
Yeah, if I was the producer, I would make them take the same helicopter. I don't care what order anybody picked. I'd be like, oh no, you guys are sitting next to each other. Have fun.
Yeah.
If there was a way I could make their hotel rooms like look at each other, so when they went out into the pool they could see each other, I would do that. It would be great.
Yeah, because it's not like we got good helicopter content of them like having a moment in the helicopter. So it's like, I don't know. Seems like you'd try to get something out of a helicopter ride if you could.
Yeah.
But okay, now it's Jin Young's turn,
and he chooses Nadine.
No surprise to the audience.
Is not surprised to us, but everyone else is exceedingly surprised.
Yes, and Sejong finally looks sad, I think, in this moment.
Yeah, this was her last chance.
Jin Young was her last hope, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And also sad Minsu, which this is just the beginning of sad Minsu. But Jin Young and Nadine are both very excited to learn about each other's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're very curious.
Yes, and he tries to take her bag because he's learned, and then he suggests that they drink. He suggests that they drink champagne. So his last date in Paradise was a soju date. This one, he says, is going to be a champagne date, which apparently means better things.
Yeah, there seems to be this whole drinking meta that I've asked questions about. Soju versus champagne versus whatever else. Yeah, it goes over my head, but I'll take your word for it, sir.
Okay.
All right, what order are we going to go here on these dates? They're all overall, for Paradise episodes where we had 3 dates, probably the best 3 dates.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty good. All of them are good.
I say we do Youngjae and Sawon first.
Alrighty. Here we go.
They come in, and it is the same room that they had their first date in. So they're talking about how meaningful it is to come back to this place. They're like talking like they've been together forever. And like, I don't know. Just like, oh, the place we had our very first date so long ago.
It's a little too much for me because it's like not that much of a coincidence. Like they probably randomize it, or maybe they did it on purpose. Like it's not, and it was literally like 5 days ago or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not.
It
like
is literally their second date.
It's not even like an anniversary or something.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know if it's Koreans or the people on these shows, but they seem to like these kind of like, oh, it feels like destiny moments, despite the not very randomness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this date is basically going to be the exact same date we saw before.
Except they like sit outside with the sunset in the background and it's very pretty. So
yeah, they like sit by the water instead of swim in the water from what we saw. And when they're sitting and talking outside, I'm going to get a little snarky here.
Okay.
Yoonjae is really going to pat himself on the back with how great he thinks all his decisions were.
He made every right choice along the way.
None of his decisions made him really jealous.
Yeah, he didn't completely think that their entire 2-day relationship was a farce that one time or anything. No, not at all.
Also, I didn't take this way at first, but you could interpret this as he's trying to say that Sawon made some wrong decisions.
Yeah, I definitely got that. He's like, I made all the right decisions. You
A
maybe went
great
on some
roommate.
dates you shouldn't have, but whatever. We're here now. And she's just like, it's less about decisions we made and more like, we got lucky with some timing, like little coincidences helped us along the way.
Yeah, and then they have this whole conversation about theorizing kind of like how we did if like Jungwoo doesn't get second place. Like if they don't happen to have that conversation right before the first selections.
Selection, yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know if this relationship even happens. They want to believe that they would have just been drawn to each other later.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that this show works and potentially like the personality of Yoonjae, like if he goes on a date with a different girl and has a good date with her.
Yeah, if he had stayed up all night talking to Sejong, like it would be Sejong in this final scene. Like, like
and I don't know that he's guaranteed to have a good date with Sejong, but like I feel like if he has a decent date with anybody, he's like the kind of guy that's gonna be like kind of
hyper focused.
Maybe, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it actually happens. I don't know if it would happen if that one conversation didn't.
They come to the conclusion that, they would have gotten together later, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they seem to get along, so that's good job for them.
I hope it works out for them. And then they're going to go back to the bedroom where they talked last time.
Yep.
And they're going to do lots more talking.
So much more talking.
Yeah. There's a point in these conversations where like I really wish that the show had given us some actual like content of why Yoonjae and Seo-eun like connected.
Yeah, we never get any of their actual conversations outside of them talking about how much they like each other or get along well.
Yeah. And then the part that I thought was weird is when like Yoonjae is talking about, oh, like I really want to get to know you. Like
you've been talking for hours.
It's like, it's like, what have you been talking about? Also, if there's something you want to know about her, just ask her. Stop talking about how you want to ask her.
Yeah.
But I will say, like in the reunion videos that we watched, Seo-eun mentions like stuff that they talk about, and it does include like hobbies and things they're interested in. So they did talk about things that I think they connected on that I just didn't get to see in it. That made me feel like the relationship wasn't that as good as it seemed, but I think the show just didn't show it to us.
Mm-hmm. And we get those kind of conversations with other couples on their dates.
Yeah.
And so it feels extra weird that we don't see it on the couple that is renowned for talking all night long.
Yeah. Is it like they're, I don't know if it's like something about how they talk each other, like just didn't come through as interesting for the show, or
they're just very boring people. I don't know.
I could see their conversations being a lot of like, staring into each other's eyes for long periods of time and then saying something. Like maybe there wasn't like a good way to edit their conversation to make it seem entertaining, but seems like they did connect, but I needed the bonus content outside the show to really understand that.
I mean, she does feed him some food, and that Korean media has taught me to mean that is meaningful and they are getting along well.
Yeah. And Yoonjae was like, "Oh, I was just waiting for you to feed me food." Like this is so much of a thing that Yoonjae's like, "I'm not taking a bite of dessert until she feeds it to me." Like that's what's going on here.
Yeah. Which they have a good laugh about, so that's
I did think that was funny. The host didn't think that was funny, and I was like, "What do you mean it's not funny? It's funny." Sometimes I'm so confused by the host reaction in this show.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a little, bed action here.
I have some beef with the show, which is that this scene was used in like the preview of the entire season.
Oh, they got you.
They made it look like there was going to be some smooching, and there was no smooching. And you know that I like smooching in my content, and I was sad.
So I don't actually remember the thing that you say you saw. Is it just when he's like leaning over and saying her name?
Yeah, except you don't get any of the audio, so it like looks like he's kissing her head or something,
Okay, yeah. What is Seo-eun's angle here? I have two theories. Either she's trying to do what So Young last year did, which is like be the initiator.
Lie down, it's fine.
Be the initiator of like, oh, it's okay if we sleep in the same bed together.
Yeah.
Or to me, it almost looked like they might have like decided that, oh, Yoonjae can sleep in the big bed this time, and then she might be just trying to snipe the big bed despite
Mm,
what their agreement was. That was the other angle I thought I was seeing.
I just assumed that because we find out like it's 4 or 5 in the morning, like she just legit might be very, very tired.
Do you
Like
think
that
do you think
might.
her initially going in the bed was 4 or 5 in the morning, or was that? I don't know. I
Oh,
couldn't
I
tell
don't
the
know.
timeline yet. Ultimately, they sleep in the same beds they did the first time.
No, but yeah, I do think it was the first one really because like he's like, okay, I'm gonna request the extra bed, and she's like, just wait, let's think about that, and that's when she flops down on the bed.
Oh, is the
Um,
extra bed not in the room? Like they actually
the
have to
extra bed is
request it?
not in the room. He said he has to go request it, and
Oh,
she's just like, but wait a
okay.
minute, like I mean, let's just think about that before we do that.
Okay. So maybe Yoonjae was more uncomfortable with it than Jintake was
Yeah,
last year, because they did sleep in the same bed last year, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah. Which got a big reaction from the host. Like they were like, "Are we allowed to watch this?" It's like they're just lying next to each other. Like
yeah,
to us, it's like, why wouldn't they be sleeping in the same bed? Uh so good. All right, that's the end of that date. It was fun. It
yes.
was fun.
Mhm.
Even though it was a replay to some extent, it was good.
It solidly cements that this is a couple that is going to leave this island. No
Yeah,
surprises there.
we're gonna slowly kind of wrap up each character's story throughout these 2 episodes, and I would say this is like the wrap up of their story for the
Yeah,
most part, other than other than the final decision, but it's kind of trivial.
yeah, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, who's next?
Let's do Jin Young and Nadine.
Young and Nadine. Here we go.
So they go in, we don't see them in their room to begin with. They just go into this like fancy dining room area, which I think we saw last season.
I was wondering, is this where Sehun went with Ji Young?
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. It did seem like extra fancy to me. Like they did something. Like none of the chairs like are the same. It looks like it's kind of a
Yeah.
weird room. It seems like some sort of theme or something. I don't know.
The background music was like fancy orchestral music to be like, yes, this is a
Yeah,
fancy place where you have fancy dinner.
that music wasn't actually in the room though, right? It was just
No, no,
the
no.
TV
That was
show.
just
Yeah,
in the
okay.
show.
I couldn't really tell. Yeah, and Nadine's gonna tell Jin Young that he was awesome in the fight pit.
Oh, yeah. Really awesome.
She thinks he was the best fighter in the
Hmm.
fight pit, and she was cheering for him. And then we're gonna reveal ages.
Yes. And she is 23 and he's what, 28?
Yes.
So, like, immediately he's like, oh, now you seem cuter. And she's just like, I don't like being cute.
I had a similar reaction to Jin Young actually here. I was like, well, too bad. Too bad, Nadine.
You can't help it if you're cute.
You can't? Yeah. Too bad, you're cute. And Nadine actually says to him, oh, 5 years is kind of a lot. Which I
Yeah.
was a little bit surprised that she said that, but I guess it kind of is.
He's fairly dismissive of it, you know? He's just like,
Yeah, he doesn't
whatever.
he says he doesn't care, but we actually got Nadine's opinion on age gaps here.
Hmm. I think just like I think it makes a lot of sense, like, given the ages they are at, a 5 year gap is a little big, you know, like she's early 20s, he's late 20s. It's a different kind of dating potentially that they're trying to do at this stage, but I don't know. He
Yeah.
does not seem bothered at this moment about it.
Yeah. And then what the hell is this, Sarah? How does this happen? They do occupation guessing and Nadine just guesses that he's a YouTuber? Like what?
Yeah.
I don't know how they do this.
I do not know how she did this. I would not have guessed it. She then seems very surprised when he confirms that she's right.
Now, she thought he did like workout videos, which I guess that
Yes.
makes sense. Yeah, she's gonna find out that he actually was in the UDT Marines, or what did we say that was? Navy SEALs or something like that.
Yes, the equivalent of like the Navy SEALs, and
Yeah.
he does a lot of gun content. And she's like, oh well, like I like shooting guns and I like military things, and I was in the army for a year. And he's just like, what? Like they like all the same thing.
And then they talk about cars and motorcycles.
Yes, she's like, oh yeah, I'm excited about that motorcycle. And like this seems like this should be going really well, you know, like it's the opposite of a Solgi date. Like they talk a lot, they have a lot in common. This should go further than it does, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, like I have no common ground on any of these hobbies and interests that they're talking about, but it is actually like cute to see them connecting over it.
Yes.
Yeah, seemed really good.
And she keeps going, you should come and visit in Boston. And he's like, maybe one day I will, because he was talking about, you know, visiting America anyway, just because it'll be easier to film the kind of
Yeah.
stuff he wants to film in America.
That made me a little sad, actually.
It did. It made me very sad.
Yeah, because he's basically like, yeah, I want to leave Korea because their gun regulations are too. They're, I can't do my YouTube content, so I'm gonna move to the U.S. where you can just like get guns for no fucking reason. Yeah,
Oof.
sad for us, but it's all right.
Yeah, but I
We'll
guess
move
good
on.
for
We'll move
him.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was imagining he'd move to like Texas or something. That's what I was
Oh
thinking.
yeah. Well, he was saying he wanted to go somewhere like secluded where he could like do training.
Yeah, which makes sense. I don't. That's not where Nadine is, but I don't know. They could probably make it work if they wanted
They could
to.
make that work. Yeah.
Yeah. But then Jin Young's gonna find out what Nadine does, and
Yes.
she's pre-med, as we discussed before,
Mm-hmm.
and she's on a track to being a doctor. Now this time Nadine says she's specializing in brain stuff, where to Dongwoo,
Yeah, which I think like that's what she's specializing in now. She's just not saying that she has an interest in plastic surgery
okay,
as like the next step, which is what she said with Dongwoo.
yeah, I guess I just don't know how the paths work in the medical
Yeah.
community. It just seems like that's not the right path to be on if you want to be a plastic surgeon, but I don't know.
Yeah, I am unclear. I think maybe your pre-med specialization isn't as important as maybe the decision you make when you actually get to med school. So
Okay.
maybe like because she's doing like foundational stuff right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know nothing about this.
And then Jin Young, he also knows nothing about this because he never went
Yes.
to university. And I think Jin Young's reaction here is that he's a little like intimidated by
Oh yeah,
that Nadine
he should
is,
be. She's
Nadine
amazing.
Nadine is going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And it seems fair to me. Like Nadine is kind of go into this. She's going to say something about like, oh, she just wants somebody to support her.
Mhm.
And he like doesn't feel like he knows how to support somebody who is on this path because he didn't go to university, or I don't know.
Yeah, but I think also he's having a lot of the same reservations that like Dongwoo had about this potential relationship, which is that like she's about to be super fucking busy and maybe she doesn't have time for the like commitment level of a relationship that he's necessarily looking for, you know? Like
Yeah,
she's kind of looking for somebody that can fit in the little gaps of spare time she has, whereas he might be looking for something a little bit more serious and I don't know.
but don't you get the vibe that he's kind of looking for like he kind of wants to like lock in a relationship and then go do his thing in the US? Like he's also going to be busy. Like that's kind of how I felt. Like he said like maybe at the end of the year he'd be going to the US, or maybe in a year or something like that. So it seemed like he was kind of trying to fast track a relationship to some degree, and then like maybe even get married before he moves to the US. I don't know. It seemed weird.
I think like there's a little bit of that, like he might be closer to looking for marriage stuff than she is, given, you know, their ages.
I think he definitely is. Nadine's not looking for that. Yeah.
But also like I think both of them kind of need somebody who's more flexible and not as busy as they are. Like, yeah, they're both kind of looking for this like busy lifestyle
You think
thing,
so?
but
Okay.
that's like not gonna line up when they're both really fucking busy, you know?
Okay. I got the sense, because we had a conversation earlier that they both like kind of talked about how they like their alone time and stuff. So
Yeah, which I think
I
makes
had more
sense.
of a sense that they would like that the other person is busy. So I kind of sense the opposite of what you were saying.
Like I can see that, but I think like he may be realizing that the super busyness of both of them means that they'll never actually like their free time will never line up. You know, like
it's like too
too much.
too much.
Like
Okay.
yeah.
The vibe that I got more was that he was so unfamiliar with this career track that Nadine owns that like he didn't know how to support her. And then she says something about how she needs support.
Mhm.
And I think there was something like, I think there was almost like a misunderstanding here. Whereas like at least the way I perceive Nadine is like, she's a very like strong and independent woman who
Yeah.
like doesn't need you literally to support her, but she just wants you to be like, yes, like go for your dreams. And that's like, oh, that's the level of support that she needs, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like he interpreted it as like, oh, like she's going to need me to be there for her a lot. And I don't think that's actually true. So I actually thought this was kind of a misunderstanding of just because there's also, I don't know how often Nadine spoke English in this conversation, but I think when sometimes Nadine does speak English, Jin Young literally doesn't understand her, which we get to see in the YouTube videos. Like
Oh yeah, that was great.
when she says, when at one point when she said like, oh, when you got here you mixed everything up, and he's just like, oh yeah, but all the guys like call him out and be like, you don't know what she said right there.
He's like, I had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea what she said. So that's another factor here as well. But yeah, it was a very interesting date to watch, considering they had so much in common, but there was still
this last bit is a bummer, because I think if not for this sort of like, are our schedules gonna line up? Do you need something that's different from what I'm prepared to offer? Like, that messed it up. If not for that, I think they would work well together.
Yeah.
But those are also valid reasons to not get together. So it all works out, I guess.
Yeah. Even after the end of this, it did put some doubts into my mind that, oh, maybe Jin Young actually doesn't pick Seolgi in the end. Like, I was like, oh, maybe there's like a 10% chance. Because
I was hoping he would pick Nadine, but I didn't think it would actually pan out that way.
Yeah, I didn't think it would either, but that's mostly just because of the edit. So, I don't know, do you like talking about the production edit aspect of the show? Because I really like to talk about it. Do you want to get
like, it's an important... Yeah.
Okay, do you want to get into it deeper here?
Sure.
This is a little like, okay, if you're watching future seasons of Singles Inferno, and if you're aware of the editing strategy of the show, it might be a little spoilery. But
okay.
This is how I would guess that the producers plan to edit the show or whatever.
Okay.
Basically, like, they film the 9-10 days, whatever it is, right? And then they see who picks each other in the end.
And then they have to tell a story that leads to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they actually like kind of edit backwards, I think. It's like they start with the end of the show and they edit to the front. So since the entire show, we're seeing this Jin Young versus Jungwoo is like the main story. Yeah. We know that Jin Young and Jungwoo are going to pick the same girl in the end. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Now, is there a world where somehow, like, say there was a season where every girl got picked by a guy and there was no doubling up?
They would still have to manufacture something. Like,
I don't know. They would have to manufacture something, but I don't know how they would edit that scenario. But the way they're editing it this season seems like, 99% chance Jin Young and Jungwoo are going to pick the same person.
Yeah.
And they try to plant these seeds of doubt that maybe Jin Young will go for somebody else in the end, which I kind of a little bit bought into, because I was like, okay, if the show saw that it was Dongwoo and Jungwoo with Seolgi at the end, maybe they didn't feel like they had enough content to make that a rivalry. So
okay.
They made Jin Young the rivalry because they had better content for that. But then the twist will be that Jin Young doesn't even pick Seolgi in the end. So I was like, oh, maybe there's a 10% chance that this actually happens. But yeah, I just think it's interesting to think about how they probably edit the show in reverse a little bit.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And like, sometimes I like to ignore that just to go along the ride. Yeah. But like, when you're like analyzing stuff, it's, you got to take that into consideration.
As somebody who wants to be on a reality TV show, I can't help but think about these things.
yeah, exactly.
There's also a little bit of a moment here where Jin Young, like, Nadine's like, all right, come on, let's talk for real. It's like, who would you have picked if you'd gotten second place in the competition?
I don't even think she asked that. She
doesn't say it like that, but she said it like,
the person you would have picked if you were in second place got picked by somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost not even a question.
Jin Young, I feel like, isn't cool enough here to be like, oh yeah, I would have picked Seolgi. Like, he won't admit to Nadine that he would have picked Seolgi. He kind of like dodges the question and was like, I'm glad I'm here with you. Like, was kind of the response.
He also says that his ideal situation would be that like Jungwoo wouldn't have picked Seolgi and she would have been left behind alone while he had picked Nadine, so he could like explore what he was curious about but didn't have to worry about like her spending time with Jungwoo, like, which seemed ridiculously uncool to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's he said something about that, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of what he said, yeah. He definitely said that he wishes he would have been able to choose between Nadine and Seolgi. But never says to Nadine who he would have chosen, but yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, we're mostly getting like Seolgi. Seolgi is kind of like the main decider at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And here's another production thing we can talk about. 2 seasons now, the final decision has played out the same way, in that the the men approach the women and then the women make the final decision.
Yeah, it is unclear to me if the women are supposed to like have picked ahead of time. The announcement that says like explains what is happening makes it sound like they do, but
I
there's
mean,
nothing in the way that reinforces that they have to go with what they picked ahead of time. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Either way, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think.
I mean, it might matter in a case where I don't know if Zoe picked Hanbin just for the sake of not picking anybody, but then in the
Oh, I
moment
see what
when
you're
Sejun's
saying.
in front of her, went, fuck it, let's go. Like,
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you think if like Zoe didn't submit to production that she picked Sejun, that she
mhm.
would have to walk off alone?
I'm thinking that can't be the case because that makes for less, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, okay,
But they
that
make it
could be
sound like the women pick ahead of time, and I don't know that I believe that that's
that.
enforced.
That could be the case, and that would be a little more like I don't want to like fair in terms of like balance between the men and women's roles in the decision making,
Hmm.
because they did a little bit of like switching up like the men and the women this season in terms of like I think last season we started with more men and less women, and this season we started with more women and less men. Is that right? Yeah. And then like maybe the order they did the games was a little different, but in the end they
Hmm.
did the exact same process.
Yeah.
And the way I was seeing it until you mentioned maybe the women do have to pick in advance is that if they keep doing it this way, like a woman's decision will always be the story of the season because they're picking
Ah,
last, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like last season it was Gia, and then this season it was Solgi. Like final decision was what things
Hmm.
were centered around at the end. But if they switched it and had the women go out to the men and the men made the final decision, we would have had what three women in front of Jin Young,
Yeah.
and then the entire season would have to be re-edited to kind of explain Jin Young's final decision.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
because the only thing that the edit has to do with it being the way as it is they have to just kind of show why Jin Young picks Solgi, but ultimately, like, we don't really get a sense of how close it was between Solgi and Nadine,
Well,
potentially.
here, I mean, take it to another level. Like, does he care as much about picking Solgi if in this final moment he's not competing with someone? Because how much of it is about like winning and like beating this other guy that he's been like theoretically rivaling with for a while? But if
Potentially.
he's standing there with Solgi, Nadine, Sejong, and Minsu in front of
Oh yeah,
him,
he'd have four. Yeah, yeah.
like does he then does he still pick Solgi? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, what would have happened is that well, potentially wouldn't have Solgi as an option. If Solgi went
Yeah,
to
potentially.
Jungwoo. Or maybe Solgi doesn't pick Jungwoo if she has to go first. And like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
There's
the final picking process, like it I think there's a lot more to think about if you're picking first. So if you're the
yeah.
guys in this scenario.
But
Whereas
in
the women just get
theory,
to wait until see who comes to them and then
exactly.
choose. Unless it's what you're saying where they have to do it in advance. I'm not
Like
sure.
maybe everybody has to pick in advance.
That would make it fair in
I
terms
feel
of
like that like the way they position the women indicates that at the very least the men tell them in advance who they're going to pick because they want the guys to walk past who you might think maybe they might pick instead so
oh
they
yeah,
can have
yeah.
these awkward moments. So like I think the guys have to submit at least ahead of time.
Production knows. Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
And even if they were on the fence, they could still put them in a way that could make it dramatic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Something to think about singles Inferno. Maybe switching it up. Maybe
Yeah.
let the guys go first, or let the women go first and the guys go second, and see. We might get a. I don't know. I just want to. I kind of want to see like a different edit from that
Yeah.
perspective, because otherwise, we're always gonna get like the edit of like, oh, there's a girl that a bunch of guys like, and she's super vague about who she's interested in. You know, to the point
Well, I
that
mean,
like,
also think about like the audience for these kinds of shows. I'm guessing that the audience is split and more women watch it than men watch it. And so, like, is that the kind of story like more
oh,
women want
that's
to
true.
see?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably also part of it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if that's the demographic of it watching, then yeah, you got to satisfy the demographic. But yeah, I would also wonder like how much production encourages Solgi to like not give away that who she's gonna pick. And
Yeah.
that's like if I was on production, I would be telling Solgi like you can't tell which
Oh
guy
yeah.
you're gonna pick in the end. Like that's not acceptable. Like we need this to be like we need real emotion from these guys not knowing who you're gonna pick. Like you can't do it.
Yeah, I am sure there is someone in her ear off camera just being like, "Don't tell him. Don't do it.
Don't you
Be
dare
mysterious.
tell them."
Come on."
Yeah. All right, where were we? Sorry, I got wrapped up in production talk.
Yeah, I think we finished.
I think we're done
Jin
with
Young
it.
and Nadine's date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means we're on to the Jungwoo Soki date, which is probably, at least from Jungwoo's perspective, the most anticipated date.
Yeah. I got a lot of notes on this date, Sarah.
Yeah.
Let's go. The entire episode 9 is pretty much these Paradise dates.
Yes.
Which is, it's nice that we got good content.
Yeah.
Paradise dates.
Especially compared to our last round of dates, which was
Yeah.
just, oh, sad.
Solgi is very excited to show Jungwoo around the place because she's been there before.
And he is appropriately amazed by everything because he's not been here before. Yeah.
I want to say this is the same
room she's been in the entire time, I think.
Was she here with everybody or was she only... I guess they had a swimming pool every time. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is the same.
I think it's the same room.
Times. Yeah. I was going to say it's definitely the same one as with Jin Young, but I think you're right.
Oh, I would say it's definitely the same one with Dongwoo. Okay. So, yeah.
I think it's the same one every time. And then, Sarah, very quickly, when Jungwoo is walking around and looking around, he sees the swimming pool.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, want to go swimming today?
She says, sure.
And she's like, sure, let's swim. No hesitation whatsoever.
No, I'll just splash around while you go in, or I'll sit on a chair while you go in. Just like, yeah, sure.
I think this means something. And they haven't talked yet. And had like, they haven't really had their date yet. Unless they had this huge connection in the helicopter that we didn't see. I really think Solgi was leaning towards Jungwoo before this date.
Yeah. I would say leaning towards, but still not completely away from Jin.
Yeah, I don't think she was like final decision, but yeah.
She was enjoying being treated really well, I think is what it came down to.
I guess. I mean, nothing had happened yet. Like this was like as soon as they walked in the door.
The way he has been taking care of her up to, and like she's enjoying this like attentive guy thing that's happening. And I think that is really winning her over. Yeah.
And then they're gonna order food. And they're very cute while ordering food. Not awkward. Yeah. Not awkward ordering food.
No, very cute.
And then this line was great. If you go back to the very first episode. Jungwoo was like, Solgi, I'm planning on seeing you eat a lot today. Because he was early on, he was like, you look like somebody that doesn't eat a lot. And she was like, no, I eat a lot. So he was like, oh yeah, put your money where your mouth is right now. Put your mouth where your...
the food where your mouth is, yeah.
Put the food where the mouth is, yeah. So yeah, time for food.
Oh, and he keeps like, he feeds her some steak, and then he's like, do you like this? And every time she says she likes it, he just piles this food on her plate. And like, this is like some cute Korean dating right here. This like filling somebody else's plate up with food.
Yeah, this is really good. And we didn't see anybody else feed food with Solgi, right? This is a first.
Yes.
And there was like no hesitation from her either.
Oh yeah.
He was just like, he just went to feed her and she was in on it. Like she didn't have any reaction. It felt like totally natural.
Yep.
And then Solgi, I believe earlier when they were eating in Inferno, he was like, this is the best food I've ever eaten. But you thought she meant like the best food in Inferno she's ever eaten.
Yeah.
But here she's going to say, this is the most delicious of all the food I've had here. And this is her third date in Paradise. So I don't know if she really ordered anything differently or if maybe the company is affecting it.
I think the company definitely is affecting it.
I thought this was meaningful as well. There's a lot of signs here if you really pay attention to them. That
I don't think you have to pay attention too hard. This date goes really well.
So this is the thing. Like, I don't know if you agree with me now, but like, I do actively think that the show was like tricking us into thinking Jin Young was the choice, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like, at what point did you, even up to the final decision, was there a point where you said, okay, it's going to be Jungwoo? Or were you still kind of like, I don't know, it still feels like Jin Young, even up to the end?
I mean, not up like up to the end, like after this date and like where she sits, like she sits with Jungwoo at their like final little campfire thing. Like it does feel like she's made that decision before the very end. But there's still like that little 10% chance of just like she's just gonna go with the mysterious hot guy, like because I think like that attraction is
Okay.
still there. Like she still feel like she has not cut him out entirely, but yeah, I figured she was gonna make the Jungwoo decision
Okay.
ahead of time.
I think a lot of people. My guess is that a lot of people, even all the way to the end, still thought it was going to be Jin Young, just because the show like put more effort into making it seem like that was the case.
Mm,
And even though this date is going really well, they're not giving it that like sexy music that went along with the other one. So
yeah,
even the hosts, I think that by the end of this date, despite it going so well, still a few of them are like, "Yeah, it went well, but like I think Solgi was just being nice because
mm,
like Jungwoo was being nice to her, earlier." Like there's still, because of the things we've seen in the past and because of how the Jin Young date was edited,
yeah.
you're still in the mindset that like, oh, Solgi wasn't as romantic in this date. Despite, I think if you look closer and just pay attention to the details, I think this date is more romantic and better.
I
But
think
I don't know.
also like I'm looking for things that indicate a more healthy relationship, and she is so much more
That's what I'm
open
looking for too. Yeah.
with in this date. Like they're having actual conversations about their
Yeah.
interests and things.
And she admits that too. She's like,
Yeah,
I talk about things with you more than anybody else.
yeah.
More than I have with anybody else.
She like touches him a lot. Like she sees that he's injured from the fight pit and like rubs his elbow a little bit. Like there's just all these little things that add up that show that this is going really well.
Well, she noticed a wound on Jin Young too on their date, remember? So she's
Did
good at
she?
spotting wounds on guys
Yeah,
she's
but she
interested in.
didn't like touch it.
Oh, did she touch it? I don't know.
I don't think she did.
Ooh, maybe not. Maybe not. All right. They're going to reveal their occupations to each other.
Oh, that's right. We didn't know anything about Jungwoo before this moment.
And they're both going to guess that the other person is like a K-pop idol or like some
Yes.
sort of like model actor.
Which I mean bodes well. They both think each other are hot, right?
I think that's
like
a
they
good
both think
move.
they're attractive. Yeah.
If you have to play the occupation guessing game on the show, you just be like, "Oh, you look like you're a K-pop idol."
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
100%.
doesn't even matter. Just like it can't be a wrong guess. It can't be a bad guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is the least offensive, probably.
Yeah. But what is Jungwoo?
Jungwoo is a barista, but also sort of runs the cafe with his parents. So that sounds a little better than him just saying, I make coffee. So, yeah.
Yeah. It did seem a little lackluster to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's working for his parents. But
Which is fine. Like normal
yeah,
people need to date too. This doesn't have to be all CEOs of their own
yeah.
company like it was last year.
Yeah. He's potentially like 23 international age. And so
Mm-hmm.
he's like right out of university or I don't know, whatever he did.
Yeah, I don't.
Because he's also
I have
going to
no
say
idea.
that he played football, soccer for
Yes,
10 years, 8 years, something like that.
and he was almost about to join a pro club, so
Yes.
that seems like he was pretty good at it. But he ended up quitting for
Yeah.
reasons.
He could have very recently transitioned to being a barista.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems likely.
But this sparks a lot of conversation because Solgi finds out that the business that he runs, that his family runs, is in Gangwon-do.
Mm-hmm.
And Solgi has been to a lot of cafes in Gangwon-do. So
Yes,
she's like, I bet if you tell me the place, I'll know it.
and he says it's called what? Super sweet corn coffee.
I
Is that right?
That is what my
It's at least what they
translation
sell.
said. I think what it is going on here is that they're not saying the actual name of the place. It's
But
just
the
that
hosts were like, "Oh, that's a really famous place."
they said that after the footage showed
Okay.
video of the place, but the way they were talking later made me feel like, oh, super sweet corn coffee is like a kind of like a special kind of coffee that only
Yeah,
some places have.
I think that's right.
And then Solgi says like, "Oh, I really wanted some super sweet corn coffee one day, so I searched for it, and your place came up and I saw you on Instagram. And I think she literally means like I saw like Jungwoo's face, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Not just like your store. It's like you actually saw him.
But
So
she
this is
hasn't
kind of
like put it
crazy.
together until this moment. Yeah, yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. That's exciting. This is that Destiny stuff too, Sarah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I saw you on
Saw him on
Instagram once.
Instagram.
That'd be great if you like pulled this on like some celebrity that like everybody sees on Instagram. Like it feels like, I've seen you on Instagram before. All right, we're gonna find out their ages too.
Yes, they're both 25, and
Let's go.
they're excited about that.
She guesses that he's 28 though.
Yes,
So he thought
that
he
feels
was
like the go-to age for guessing how old the guys are.
Yeah, it's probably like close to the average of people on this show. So it's it's like a safe guess. But they're the same age, and they're very excited about this.
Yes.
In a way that I was like, oh, maybe this is the best age difference.
Well, when you
possible.
think about like the Korean language, if you're the same age, you get to both like speak casually to each other without it being a big deal. Like nobody is in a like higher position, and you know you don't need.
Oh, is
to
that the
speak
rule?
full. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, once you're in an actual relationship, though, don't you like? It doesn't matter your age, right? You just.
I mean, there are still differences. Like she wouldn't call him Oppa or whatever, you know, like.
Oh, she doesn't call
he's
him
the
Oppa.
same age.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think about that.
I mean, I guess she could if they decided it was cute or whatever, but like that's not the rule of when you use Oppa.
Do they narrow it down to like the actual date of birth, or do they just like use the year?
Oh, I think it's usually the year, which I think is part of the reason why the Korean age system is the way it is. So that way you're like, oh, we were born the same year, whatever. It doesn't matter what month, you know, we all age up on January.
Like, satisfy the
maybe
the language. The language.
Although apparently Korea's going to international age later this year. They like passed a law or something, so everybody's ages are going to be different.
Oh, things are loosening up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Is Korea like the only country that uses this different aging system? They talk about it. It's
the only country that I know about. Okay. I mean,
they talk about it as if it's like, oh, it's Korean age and international age, and those are the only two ages. But
those are the only two I know.
I don't know if other cultures do differently. Okay, yeah. Very excited about their ages.
Mm-hmm.
Jungwoo thought that she would be older than him.
Yeah.
Which didn't deter his pursuit.
No.
That's cool.
Yeah. And she tells him that she studies piano, and he's just like really into like looking at her hands then, and he's like, oh, is that why you never get your nails done? And he's like noticing all these little details, and it seems cute.
Yeah. Jungwoo is he's very quick to ask like a bunch of like good questions and like come up with good compliments after hearing what her occupation is.
Yeah, definitely.
Like he's like genuinely interested in her. And then like, Sogi does a lot of talking about how her hands are affected by the piano. And she's very like natural and comfortable in a way that I don't think we've seen yet.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Also, they're going to like bond over like the tough times that they've gone through in their career choices. Jungwoo with soccer and Sogi with the piano.
Yes, and he like admires her for never quitting, and she's like encouraging him to keep going or whatever. And then she says that she has a graduation performance coming up and that he should come. And this man lights up. He's just like, really? I can come? Oh my God.
I'd be lighting up. This is good stuff here.
Yeah.
This is straight out of The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. This is what happens in that movie. And it's so cute. This is such a cute moment to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, being invited to the graduation performance. And then Jungwoo doesn't just say like, oh, that's amazing. He's like, you know what? I'll bring my coffee truck and all your friends will be there and I'll give them all coffee. And Solgi's like, really? You do that?
Yeah. And like coffee trucks are like a thing, like at least like with among actors or idols or whatever, when like a friend is filming something, like one of them will send like a coffee truck to the production, or sometimes fans will like pull together a bunch of money and send a coffee truck while their favorite band is like recording their music video or whatever. And so like I think that idea of like getting a coffee truck like makes her feel really fancy, you know?
Okay.
I don't know if normal people do it for each other or not, but I know that definitely like actors and idols do it.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah. But this conversation just cascades so naturally.
Oh, it's great.
It's really good.
It's like here, I'm like, okay, I get them as a couple. I like it now.
Yes, we're all here. Hopefully, this was good. I'm having such a good time watching this show.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Sully's gonna notice Jungwoo's wounds from the fight pit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you caught this. To me, this is the vibe I got. This is probably not the actual vibe of the situation, but she was like, she noticed a wound on his like arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, yeah, I got a bunch of the wounds. And she was like, really, where else? And then she kind of like leaned forward as if like she was ready for him to like show him all the wounds on everywhere on his body.
I didn't notice that, but I just kept thinking, like, if this is Jin Young, he would have been like, oh, nowhere, I'm fine. You know, whereas Jung was like, oh, I got hurt everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not show off those wounds?
Mm-hmm.
You earned those wounds. Come on. Gotta use them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Jung was going to say he was determined to win, which I think is a more appropriate word.
Yes. And the time that she cried in front of him really, like, drove that determination.
Yeah. And then another great moment. This is so good. Jungwoo like snuck the Polaroid camera from Inferno.
This is amazing.
he like straight swiped that shit and brought it to the Paradise Date.
Mm-hmm.
So they take an Ussie together, and then the camera's like making a noise, but the Polaroid's not coming out.
And there's no film in it.
There's no film in the camera. Oh no. So good.
It was about to be such a smooth move, you know, to be like, oh yeah, let's
it was
take
still
pictures
pretty
together.
good. Like I feel like
yeah. But he's like, oh no.
The sentiment of it is what like really matters. Like,
oh, definitely, yeah.
Are they really gonna hold on to these Polaroids that they're taking? Maybe, I don't know, but
I feel like he would.
Maybe
at the very least.
And then, but Sogi's fine with it. She says, "Don't worry, we can take pictures with our eyes if you know what I'm saying." Ah, so good. And then it's time for swimming. No hesitation.
She gets in first.
Oh, does she? They were like, "Oh, you ready to swim?" She was like, "Yes, let's get changed." She didn't. Mm-hmm. There was no hesitation at all.
This time she is wearing like a swim shirt over top of her swimsuit, which I think also helps make her feel more comfortable.
Yeah, I was
being like super exposed.
Yeah, I would be so curious to hear her like decision making on like what she wore for the 2 dates. And it could just be like she didn't pack the right clothes that lined up with how much she wanted to expose herself. Like that literally could be the reason. And by the time she got to this date with Jungwoo, she like figured out like what clothes she could wear that would make her feel comfortable in the water. Because up till now she has not been comfortable going in the water. It seems like.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, or she's just more comfortable. I think that
makes sense.
I don't know.
I maybe a little column A, little column B.
But she's more comfortable with Jungwoo. Why didn't she wear like the more revealing swimsuit?
Because the revealing swimsuit might not necessarily be entirely about the guy. It's also about being on camera. So I think like she went with her swimsuit last time with Jin Young and maybe felt a little too awkward about being that exposed on camera, and then felt better.
Maybe she didn't know until she put it on that she was going to be awkward about it. Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's possible. But if you were reading into it, I could see like somebody reading into that and being like, "Oh, she's not as into Jungwoo because she didn't wear the more revealing swimsuit." You know, like
I don't think that's true.
It's a take you could have.
Yeah. I think she got into that pool with that boy real fast, so she's more comfortable with him.
Yeah, and then they're talking. They're having a good time. And then Jungwoo does push her a little bit and ask her if she's made her decision yet. And then we all know Solgi hates answering these questions.
Yeah.
Does she hate answering these questions in the YouTube videos? She does talk about the date with Dongwoo and how kind of like what I was saying, I think like she literally like did not know what she was looking for.
Oh, see, I felt vindicated by that video in that she was like, he just kept asking and I didn't know. Yeah. And it's like, why are you asking me this?
But he said like it's not that she didn't want to answer him. It's just like she didn't have an answer is how she kind of put it. So we were both kind of in that area. Yeah. Now, but here, does she really not want to answer this is what I'm wondering. Or is like production has told her like, you can't answer this question. That's what I want to
know. Yeah, I feel like production's definitely been in her ear, at least. I don't know if it's entirely that is the decision maker here for like, maybe if that wasn't a thing, she might have told him. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But how she answers this is consistent with how she's been all season, from what
Yeah.
we've seen, that she like hates answering these questions.
Hmm.
And Jungwoo immediately like backs off pretty quickly. And
Oh
it's like,
yeah.
it's okay, you don't have to say or whatever.
But he does say that he's like preparing himself for whatever her answer is going to be, like
Yep.
her final decision is. Like he's preparing himself to try to not be too hurt by that.
Yeah. And this got some feels for me, Sarah. For sure.
Oh yeah.
Did he cry here? I think he kind of did. But yeah. This one got
he
me
got a
more.
little he got a little misty eyed, yeah.
Might be like 4 moments throughout this, and each one just got me more and more.
Hmm.
Yeah. And Solgi, since she has to speak in riddles, is going to say, "I'm going to follow my heart, and I think you should too." Which is a pretty good response if you're not allowed to
Yeah.
say. If you're not allowed to be like, "Yeah, I'm picking you," that's pretty good. I don't know. What else can you say?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, she is encouraging him to pick her because following his heart is picking her. But also, it's too late in the game to like pivot. So,
Yeah.
what else are you gonna say?
Based on what Solgi says to Jin Young at the very end, it's going to sound like Solgi may have said something very similar to Jin Young.
Mm,
Like, oh, just follow your heart. And then she doesn't pick him at the end. So she might be saying the same thing to multiple
yeah.
people here. Yeah. But it's just good advice in general. It's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like they end with her saying just like, or them both saying, yeah, let's do our best. And then they shake hands. You know how I feel about a awkward handshake.
Yeah. I wonder, like, so is this like a move on dates in Korea, or is this just a thing they're doing on TV?
What,
I think it's just
the
a move.
handshakes?
I think the
or
handshake. I think the handshake is just a thing that they do on TV because they can't like.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Probably.
know. I don't know. Do you think people do handshakes on like their first dates?
Oh, God, I hope not.
In
But I
Korea?
hate handshakes, so I don't know.
It's kind of like a way to touch each other that seems safe.
I guess. But it's so formal and, well,
Especially on this show, though. But it's still
That's
something like if you were them, you'd be like, "Oh, we touched."
I
Or if you're
guess.
Jungwoo here.
I
I
don't
don't know.
think, me personally, I would not feel good about a handshake ever. Just like, nope.
The other move is they give like double thumbs up to each other.
Well, that
Would
is
you
my
rather-
go-to awkward
Oh.
reaction to everything, so I can relate to that. Double thumbs up, yeah.
Would you rather get a double thumbs up from your romantic interest or a handshake?
I think a double thumbs up, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
The double thumbs up is a little like standoffish in a way, though, that it's like I'm avoiding doing a different thing. So I'm going to double thumbs up from a distance.
I
I
think
don't know.
this
I don't know which
speaks
one's
to why
better.
I give double thumbs up and maybe is not true as to why everyone gives double thumbs up, but I see it as a like, I feel awkward, but I approve of this situation right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
So like, I'm inclined to think a double thumbs up is a good thing.
If they're only willing to go as far as a handshake, I'll take a handshake. Why not? So good. All right.
There we go. Those are our dates for our last dates in paradise.
All right, we got to go back to Inferno during the night, though.
Yes. And
Anything of interest from you here? I think of a couple things. But
I mean, no big surprise. Hanbin is back to cooking for everyone. But there is a cute time where like Zoe's cutting potatoes, and it's just you get Sejun and Dongwoo just standing there kind of watching her for a while.
yeah,
And it's just like, I don't think she needs this much supervision, guys, but okay.
I don't know. I'm worried about Zoe too. It seems like they're being a little overprotective, but they show a moment of like Zoe cutting the potatoes where like it did seem like she almost cut her hand. And I remember earlier on my comments about how she was like holding the tuna can lid.
Yeah.
I this girl worries me a little bit too. Especially if you're Sejun and you're actually interested in her. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'd be
Well, he
like-
takes over for her so she doesn't
Yeah.
get hurt. It's okay. She survives the potatoes.
yeah, I could see like viewing this as like, oh, this seems like too much, but I don't know. It looked dicey to me. It
It
looked
just
dicey.
looked hilarious with these two full-grown men just like peering over her shoulder while
Yeah.
she cut the potatoes.
That's all I had from the dinner.
Yeah. They look at the sunset. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Good job.
But then the other big moment, or the only big moment maybe, is that Zoe's gonna grab Sejun to talk
Yes.
privately.
And he's immediately worried that she is not wearing clothes that are warm enough. This man is continually in take care of Zoe mode. And I love it.
You love it, okay?
I love it. It's
Yeah,
adorable.
it is. This is gonna be a great conversation. Sejun is so cool. That's what I wrote in my notes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, what happens here, Sarah?
She says that basically she wanted to talk to him because, she didn't go to paradise with him yesterday and wanted to like check in or whatever. And he's just like, I don't care what you did. It's fine. I'm still into you, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, follow your heart. Don't worry what other people think. Yeah, he basically tells her more that like from the very beginning, like she's just always been on his mind. And he's really relaxed when she's around. And it's just more cute times.
I have the official wording that I had here. Ready?
Okay,
Satan says, having you in my sight here gives me comfort.
Mm.
You're on my mind. And the hosts have a huge reaction to this. I think this is pretty good too. I think this is the right reaction from the hosts.
yeah, definitely.
It's like expressing your feelings without it's not like too pushy, I don't think. I think it's good. This makes Zoe laugh and smile.
Yeah.
Because she feels the weight of it without it being too much, I think.
And I love to see her happy after all the times we had to watch her cry. Like, it's a nice turnaround.
Now, these two are going to leave together at the end, Sarah.
Yes.
You count this as a couple leaving the show?
Do I count this as a couple?
Because this was the thing in the last episode. You said it's only going to be two.
I think I do because of these interactions.
Yes. All right.
And I feel like a lot of what we see, like the next day, it's like free date time and we don't see anything from them. But I feel like sometimes in the background, you can just kind of see them together.
Yeah.
And then also there were some like unreleased like little clips that also had them like from their date when they were like swimming together, which was super fucking cute. And some other time when they were on the island and it was also cute. And it just, for me, built up to like, this does seem legitimate.
Yes. I say put on the board, this counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting the edit they chose for these two. I think what messed up the edit potentially was that Zoe picked Hanbin the one time.
Yeah.
And they didn't really know how to explain that.
Yeah.
In with like the video footage. Now they could have her, they have like maybe a confessional of it or something. I don't know what they did. But
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it was just easier for them to, especially since Zoe doesn't have to make a choice in the end. It's just the one guy in front of her. It was just easier for them to like, I don't know. I
sideline it and not really highlight it as much.
I wish we would get like the good moments, but I guess it would have made it like if they showed the good moments from the Zoe date with Sejun, then it would have made it really confusing why she picked Hanbin.
I mean,
so
I feel like we get a good amount of. I guess she does explain that she picked Hanbin because she just felt grateful to Sejun and not like wasn't really feeling romantic at the time necessarily. But like after that date, it seems like things turned around, so they could have added more in there, I guess, to indicate that was turning around.
Yeah, the vibe I got was that like she was still so caught up in the Yunjae stuff that the date with Sejun like didn't feel like a date to her almost. Is essentially what it was. And I think even like say that this happened like a week later after.
Oh yeah, it
like,
would have been different
after the rejection with Yunjae. I think a week later, like that would have been enough time that.
Yeah, I agree.
So we would have felt better about the date with Sejun potentially, you know. So I think this counts. I think these two could actually work out as a couple off the show.
Yeah.
At the end of this, Sarah, let's do some discussion about whether or not we think these people are still in relationships based on
the extra words.
Footage. Oh, you have words. Okay. I only have opinion on one of the couples.
Okay.
Maybe another one, but yeah.
I might come back to my previous opinions about dating shows, but we'll see.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Everyone's back to Inferno, and the show's gonna say it's day D1, as
meaning
if like decision...
1 day away from decision time.
Oh, decision -1?
Yeah. Or, day -1 until the final decision. Or
I wasn't
whatever.
sure. I was like, I thought it was like, okay, this is decision day 1, and then the final decision is decision day 2. I don't.
Oh.
Are they trying to say the final decision is D-Day? Like, what are we?
Yeah. This is a traditional countdown thing that I've seen elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I don't remember this from last season. I thought they were just like day 9 last season.
Yeah,
and
I don't
that was
know.
the last day. All right. The girls are gonna gather after all the dating people come back. The paradise people come back,
as they always do.
I have some notes here.
Okay.
Solgi's gonna say that she feels more comfortable with Jungwoo after learning his age and occupation.
Yes.
and she got chills from learning that she already knew him.
Yes. Which, I mean, I don't know that she already knew him, but sure, she knew him from Instagram.
Yeah. This isn't a lot, but I feel like this is more revealing that Solgi is doing than anything she's ever said to the women before. So
any other time she comes back from a date, she's just like, it was a time, whatever. Very coy.
She, like, when she came back with Jin Young, the women could tell she had a good time from her face, but I don't think she elaborated.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, they swam or something is what she said.
Right.
And then the girls are going to be like, we heard, Samhain, that you only got 1 hour of sleep. And then the guys' tent, they're going to be like, hey, Yoonjae, we heard you only got 1 hour of sleep.
Who is, like, out here spreading these rumors if not these two?
I think one of them must have mentioned it to one of the other Paradise couples. Like,
and then they told everyone.
And then they told everyone, yeah.
But yeah, they get teased for that.
Sarah, if this was any other dating show that I watched, non-Korean, if this was a US dating show, and a couple came back and was like, yeah, we only slept for an hour, you would assume that things got
they had
physical,
been boning.
right?
Yes, exactly.
But on this show, I don't think anybody assumed that. They were just like, wow, you must have talked for a long time. You know? Like,
yeah, because it's a Korean dating show. I
would have thought they were boning, but I would have thought like, okay, maybe they made out for a while or something. Like I wouldn't assume that nothing happened.
I mean, somebody I think does ask Yoonjae like, oh, well, what were you doing the whole time or something? But it didn't really feel like
they were just joking.
They were insinuating anything. They were just like, what could you possibly have to do for that long?
This show's so good. Yeah. And then in the guys' tent, Jungwoo is he's a little happy. Okay, he's not a little happy, he's a lot happy.
Yeah. He's exactly how you'd expect him to be after this.
Setting you up to be like, what do you mean a little? Okay. Yeah, he's very happy. Everybody in there is like, could tell that how happy he is.
Yes. And he says that they talked a lot and he was like surprised by what she does. And yeah, that's pretty much all he has to say about that.
All right. It's time for free time dates. Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Set, go. And then Jin Young gets up and goes to find Solgi.
Yes.
And
immediately.
That's the
end of the episode.
I couldn't tell if this was as immediate as when Yoonjae got up to go get Saoun.
At the very least, it didn't have that same desperate, jealous energy that I feel Yoonjae did. It was a little bit, but not as intense.
It had that energy, but I couldn't tell. I feel like when Yoonjae did it, we could tell that like the announcer stopped talking and then he immediately got up. Whereas this one was like, I could see that they kind of edited it to make it look like he immediately got up, but I think his jealous and desperate energy kind of came through. I think he's fair to be desperate in this situation. In terms of like, he's like, well,
run out of time.
I am losing now. Like he like in his own words, like he thinks he's losing at this point. I think so. And here's the thing with Jin Young. I think his frustration with Jungwoo is that like he feels like he's better than everything at Jungwoo, except for actually talking to Solgi. and his move that we're about to get into is that he basically tries to just copy everything that Jungwoo has done, except do it better. And then every time he talks to Solgi, he like asks her what they've been talking about because he wants to know so he can try to talk about it better. That's what I think he's doing. Like he doesn't he's like he doesn't know what to do, so he's just like copying Jungwoo and trying to be better than him.
Interesting.
And we can break that down because that is definitely what's about to happen.
Okay. I did not get that read on it, so I am excited to hear how you think this went.
This is good. Here we go. Episode 10. Jin Young's gonna head over to that women's tent. This is the thing. The women have already out of the tent, which is why I think he didn't immediately get up.
Yeah.
It's like I think 4 of the 6 girls are already like doing their like hair and makeup or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So he pops his head in the tent and Binsu's in there with Zoe, I think, or something.
Yes.
And there's just an awkward moment where like Minsu
like who are you looking for?
Minsu just like knows he's not looking for her.
Yeah.
Even though she wants to talk to him. Yeah. Not a smooth move on Jin Young's part here, but he doesn't care anymore. Because I think the only move he has in terms of conversation to beat Jungwoo is that like he can just talk to her first. Like that's his move.
I think the
Because
move should be speak
I,
honestly with her about feelings, and that just never, I don't know, doesn't
yeah,
quite seem to happen with him.
yeah. But he doesn't know how to talk to her, so he's like, at least I can be faster to talk to her. So this is his move. And then Jin Young, so he leaves the tent, and then I feel like he kind of like savagely walked in on the girls as they were doing their hair and makeup. Did you feel
Oh
like that?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the door was open, but he was also just like, "Hey, come on, let's go. It's time right now. Get out of here."
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen. Now they talked like him and Sogi talked privately in there before, but I don't know if I've seen like women and men like mixed together in shots in
Like
these.
while they're getting ready, at least, like
Yeah. So it was a little jarring to see him like go right in there and just like basically he can see all of them getting ready, which
yeah,
maybe they're all comfortable with each other at this point. And that's why it's not actually that weird.
yeah.
And then here we go, Sarah. Jin
Uh-huh.
Young asked to talk to Sogi, and it's his idea. He says, "Why don't we go get water together?" But
Oh,
we're not
okay, yeah.
we're not getting like ice water. We're not going to the ice cafe.
We're going to
And
refill the water. Okay.
we're gonna do some labor on this in this conversation. And he
Let me
like
show you how I can lift heavy things. Yes.
yeah, because he knows that Jungwoo has done this with Sogi previously. That's
Yeah.
why I think he's doing this. Like this is like a
Okay,
power
okay.
move, like straight up just a power move to be like, oh, okay. If you think Jungwoo is cool because he carried the water that one time, let me show you what I can do. Like this is literally what I think his mind is thinking.
Okay, okay.
So he's like he like puts the whole backpack apparatus thing on and they're like walking to
Yes.
get water.
Okay. She does tease him that he doesn't know where the water is because he's like never on the island. He's always in paradise. Like she is full
Yeah.
in teasing mode this time, which
Yeah,
is
they
fun.
have like I don't know. Even at this point, like it feels like they are. It's like a playful flirting as opposed to like
Yeah.
we're flirting for at least from Solgi's perspective. This is how I'm viewing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a flirting playfulness, not like I'm flirting to necessarily like spark a serious relationship almost. But I don't know.
Oh, it read to me as more comfortable flirting. Like she's just feeling more comfortable and less like awestruck by him.
Oh, okay.
You know how before she can never like start a conversation? Like
they don't really start a conversation. It's just like a few comments back and forth, and then
mhm.
that's it. It's not really. At no point do I feel like they really had a big conversation here. I think they're still struggling.
We don't see anything as meaningful as we get when she's with Jungwoo or when Jin Young was with Nadine. But they do spend a lot of time together on this day, so they must be talking about something.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true because I feel like we have evidence at this point, and I think maybe the YouTube videos kind of showed like even going back to her date with Jin Young, like Sogi still, in Sogi's opinion, I think doesn't think they talked very much.
Mm,
You know, so
yeah.
I think these long gaps of time that we're seeing that are out of the show, they're actually not talking. Like it's not like Yoonjae and Sawon where like okay they're talking but we're not seeing it. It seems like they're actually just like not having very detailed conversations at all.
I guess. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, which lines up with basically how I've seen their quote unquote relationship the whole time, right? Where
Yeah.
they are into each other because they're hot and they haven't really figured out what they have in common or anything.
Yeah. And every time they talk, Jin Young brings up the fact that they aren't good at starting conversations together, and he wants to know what she talks about with Dongwoo since they talk so much.
Yeah.
They get to the water filling station.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're gonna do like Polaroid pictures here, which is another power move, Sarah.
But I think she brought the camera though.
Oh, okay.
Like she was carrying. Like I saw it before
You
they
saw her
they
carrying
took.
it.
Yeah, I saw her carrying it before they took the
The
pictures.
first time I saw the camera was when he was holding it, so I assumed that he brought it. But
Oh no,
I guess
no.
it's not.
She was like,
She
"Let me
carried it,
grab
is what you're
this."
seeing. Okay, maybe not. In my head, I was like, oh, now he's just trying to outdo Jungwoo on the Polaroids too. Like,
I mean, now maybe they went to get the buckets and he went, "Hey, take this camera. We'll
yeah,
take
that's
some
what I was
pictures
thinking.
too."
Maybe he was just like, hey, grab the Polaroid camera.
But we have no way of knowing.
We
But
don't
I
know
saw
for
her
sure.
carrying it.
It just seems like too much a coincidence that he's like all the big moments he knows about between Solgi and Jungwoo, he's like trying to
Mhm.
replicate them.
Okay. Oh, but I think before they went off together, she said she had to go get something, and I think that's what she was getting was the camera.
Okay. Okay. When they get to the water though, and the water's done filling up, he's able to like put the backpack on without any help.
Oh yeah, she comments about how the other guys had a rough time, and he's like, "Well, I'm just better than them."
He's like, I'm different, I guess. I guess I'm different, Sulgi. This guy's doing well. He's doing everything he knows how to do.
Yeah.
They eventually like go sit down and talk, and
Yes.
they're gonna struggle to talk again, I think.
I mean, she does tell him again that he looked really cool in the fight pit.
Yeah, because she can't think of anything else to say, so she actually says something she already said before.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where he asked like who she cheered for, and she said she was cheering for Jongwoo, but like her eyes were on Jin Young the whole time. So I don't know. It's still like she's at least going through the motions of flirting with him at this point, even if she's chosen Jongwoo.
Yeah, this is where the vibe I got was like she's kind of like playing with him at this point. It's like playful flirting. Yeah, the hosts are really invested in this. Oh, their awkwardness together is like so romantic, which like I think the hosts are being, this is their genuine reaction to it. But the fact that like every time that these two talk and then we see the host talking about how their awkwardness isn't romantic, it just feels like the editors are like forcing it in there to me. I don't, this is like the main thing I picked up on when I was watching the show. Because to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, why is their awkwardness romantic? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, like, if you're really nervous, I guess, is what they're going for.
I think it's just the music they're reacting to, yeah.
I mean, she does have this face when she looks at him that makes it seem like she's really into him. Like, she's smiling and her, eyes light up, and there's a certain amount of that happens.
Yeah, but is her face that much different than when she's with Jongwoo, or?
Yeah.
You think it's different?
I don't think she makes the same face with Jongwoo.
Okay. To me, it's. I mean, I've been the worst Seulgi face reader, or maybe I haven't been. Maybe I haven't been. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I felt like a terrible Seulgi face reader, but I feel like it's just like the music that they're putting with the face is what's influencing us.
And that definitely also plays a part.
Yeah.
But they have an interesting conversation here, actually.
They do a little bit of something here, yeah.
Where he's like trying to remember what she said her type was. And he's like, oh, I remember you said it was somebody with a pretty smile. And then he's like, but what did you say about personality? I don't remember. And she says, someone like you. And he goes, well, what kind of person am I? And I'm like, this is a super fucking valid question. I don't think she knows the kind of person he is at all.
Yeah, because like she's straight up just trolling him here, right? She is just messing with him here.
Is she?
Seulgi,
I don't know.
Seulgi, every day, Seulgi has to talk to 3 different guys. And you know what? She's finally gone on a date with Jongwoo. She's feeling good. She's like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun with this now. I'm not gonna stress about it. You know what? Jin Young? My favorite personality is someone like you. I don't know. I think she's trolling.
All right.
I mean, what else are you gonna do? She knows she's about to go through the gauntlet of guys,
Oh yeah, like literally, they made an orderly queue before he came. Like, Dongwoo and Jungwoo are waiting on the porch for her.
Dongwoo is like very assertive about being next to, which is
yes, which is just absurd because it's like, bro. I mean, this is.
When's the last time you talked to Seulgi? I have no idea.
The time when she said, "Hey, let's be friends."
That was a long time ago.
And there's been nothing in between to change that. So they're still on the friend.
He doesn't know that. He hasn't talked to her.
You would have to talk to her for things to change.
Exactly. You try to talk to her to see if it's changed.
It's the day before the decision. All right. Too late.
We'll get to it. We're almost there. We're almost at the time.
Yeah.
Seulgi does say to Jin Young that she has decided. And then Jin Young, being Jin Young, says, you know what? I have not decided.
Yeah,
Which is like,
I think that's the move here.
I think, but Jin Young's, he's just being honest, Like, this is why I would kind of like to see the alternate reality of like, okay, Jin Young has to make the final decision on the show,
Yeah.
That would be an interesting show to watch. And then when they're walking away, right before they switch off partners,
Mm-hmm.
Sogi's like saying something about, I don't know if you figured out what this was. She was like, Jin Young, there's something I'm upset with you about. And then he's like, oh, what is it? And then she's like, no, never mind. Did you catch this?
I did not.
She said she was upset with him with something, but then like wouldn't tell him what it was,
Huh.
which seemed weird. Again, maybe she's just messing with him though.
Maybe. He does go like into this thing about he's worried about life shit. Like he's worried that his job isn't, I guess, good enough. He says he doesn't think he's settled down after being discharged, and this is where he gets really into that sort of vibe you were getting, that maybe he wants to get a wife before he goes off and works some more or something.
Yeah. Now I will give the credit to the host here. They picked up on this faster than
Yeah.
I did, and then I kind of like, oh, I could see that angle, you know.
But he says he's like busy taking care of himself right now, and he doesn't know how good he'd be at taking care of a girlfriend right now. So it sounds like he's talking himself out of Nadine as a choice almost, because like she was the one that was talking about needing support, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, he leads and he just sort of alludes to this. He's dealing with shit and doesn't like, that's why he doesn't know who he's picking yet.
I feel like what he's saying though is like kind of applies to both Solgi and Nadine.
Yeah.
Like I don't see how either of them would be what Jin Young is looking for, based on what he's saying. Like they're both very young, even though Solgi's a little bit older, but yeah.
And he has a confessional where he's talking about her and we never get a name. And he says that he's conflicted because she's a student and has a lot of stuff she probably wants to do, and he doesn't know that he can be there. And like that, they're both students. Like, they're both young. It applies to both of them.
Yeah. And again, I don't think he actually needs to be there for Nadine necessarily.
But he thinks he does.
Yeah, I think based on what Nadine said, I can understand why he thinks that's what she said. Yeah. There's also something weird here I wrote in my notes. Okay. I wrote in my notes. This is what I wrote. Help me remember why I wrote this. Ready?
Okay.
It seems like Jungwoo did have Inferno date slash conversations with Sejong in the past, because now they both agree that they're done going on one-on-ones with each other. I think this happened in like, there was like a group conversation at the end. Did you hear this?
I do not remember this at all.
Okay, so I think Sejong started this. They were all sitting on the guys' porch, and it was like guys and girls there. Okay. And Sejong was like, "Oh, like I think I'm done talking with people one-on-one." Like she's kind of like, "I'm not gonna bother doing these Inferno dates or whatever you call them." And then Jungwoo says something like, "Even with me," as like suggesting that they have talked one-on-one several times in the past.
I think they have bonded as the people who have never been to Paradise until the most recent Paradise trip, and so they were probably just fun Inferno pals, you know?
But it seems like they had one-on-ones, is what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe I misheard what they were getting at, but...
Well, they probably were also waiting on Solgi and Jin Young to get back from something a number of times, because she wanted to talk to him and he wanted to talk to Solgi. And...
I'm trying to suggest that, you know, because you have a problem sometimes with why don't these people talk to each other that aren't in a couple, but this seemed to be evidence to me that it is happening. It's just like they don't have a connection.
Oh yeah. I think that even though he like hung out with her because they were both, you know, stuck behind a lot, that he from the start never entertained her as a possibility. Like, I think he was so focused on Solgi from the beginning that even though he may have spent a lot of time talking to Sejong, it's not the time he spent talking to her that dismissed her as an option. It was his hyper fixation on Solgi that dismissed Sejong as an option.
Oh, okay.
And I just want people to be less hyper focused.
Yeah, I guess I don't necessarily see it that way, but I that's a fair interpretation. Okay, now we're gonna get a lot of different one-on-ones too, and some of these are just to wrap up the story of a character on the show. I think Jungwoo and Nadine is actually first.
Did we have that? Oh, yeah,
they're just talking because they're waiting. They're waiting.
They are waiting for Jin Young and Solgi to come back. And they're just like, he's nervous. And she's just like, Solgi seemed to have fun in Paradise. Don't worry. And then she's just like, I don't know what Jin Young's thinking, because no one ever knows what Jin Young's thinking.
The important thing I wrote down, though, is that Jungwoo tells her that his heart fluttered in Paradise. which is what they like to say
Yes.
for feelings. And
Yes,
then
yes.
Nadine says, I'm jealous, which indicates that she hasn't actually felt anything that strong for anybody, even though she
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, even though she's been interested in a variety of people throughout the show, but she never felt anything like Jungwoo did.
Right. Which doesn't mean she couldn't feel anything with any of those people given the right circumstances, you know?
Yeah. The way that Nadine's dates went, where it's like, it seems like she was excited to go to paradise. Like on Inferno, she's very like trying to go to paradise with Jin Young, and she's excited about that.
Hmm.
But then once they go to paradise, she doesn't get that. She doesn't have additional feelings, right?
I think she was still interested in Jin Young though, because she's currently now worried, like, what is he about what he's thinking, and like if he's gonna pick Solgi, basically, right? Like whether that's entirely because she has feelings for him or because she doesn't want to not get picked the next day. Who knows?
It might just be the TV show at that point. She's certainly not
Yeah.
as upset as Minsu is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
The other people that are waiting are Dongwoo and Minsu. They're on the beach waiting.
Yeah. Also waiting for Jin Young and Solgi. The queue is deep.
But they're like closer to where Jin Young and Solgi are, and they're like preparing, kind of like how Hanbin and Soi did, to like
Yes.
snipe them when they're walking back.
Except they are way more bold because as soon as they see them coming back,
Oh, yeah.
they walk and stand in their path and they just wait for them there and then basically demand that they switch partners.
Dongwoo does what he wants.
Yeah. Yep. He's gonna get a chance to talk to her no matter what. And then Nadine and Jungwoo sort of see that from the porch and are like, oh, dang.
Like, oh, darn.
And Jungwoo's even like, oh, poor Solgi. She has to talk to so many people.
Yeah.
Always worried about
He's
her.
thinking about her, yeah. All right, let's do Jin Young and Minsu.
Yes.
Let's wrap up the Minsu story. This is what this is.
She tells him she had a real good time. And she was worried she wasn't going to be able to talk to him again after
All right.
or comfortably after their last date in paradise.
All right. Let's go back to the very beginning of them walking away, though.
Oh.
This is what Minsu says. She says, I missed you after spending 2 nights together. And then Jin Young has a big reaction to this.
He does. He's like, what? What?
Yeah. But this comment to me is similar to like the aggressiveness of Solgi's comments from her date with Jin Young.
Okay.
And I get the feeling that this is what Jin Young likes. Like he likes when women are kind of like very forward,
more aggressive
into liking how much they like him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna get comments like Jin Young stops at Minsu at the end, and he's gonna be like, he said, "Let's talk some more when we get out. You did great," and then they hug.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Jin Young. I don't know if it's like this conversation is changing him, but like I feel like he's kind of into Minsu. I don't know. I don't know if this conversation is influencing that or not, but I don't know. He's reacting in a similar way. I feel like that he did with Solgi here.
Interesting. I didn't really pick up, like, she hits him with a line and it's funny and he responds to that, but I don't think she's moved him on how he feels about her. The bit at the end, I feel like everybody just says nice things to the people they're passing and going like, yeah, we'll hang out later or whatever. I don't think it's particularly meaningful.
Okay. To me, it was different the way he asked Minsu to be like, we should get together and talk after the show. I think Jin Young is committed to like, okay, he has to go pick Solgi. Like it would be too weird for him to pick anybody else.
Oh yeah, I think when his final walk, he is committed to making good TV.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of pissed at him about it, about how he did.
Oh, really? You are?
Yeah,
yeah. It was great. I think he kind of knows that he's not going to get picked by Solgi, and he's kind of like leaving the door open for Minsu a little bit. That's what I kind of think. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then there's another vague confessional that we're gonna get later that I was also interested by. We'll get to that. Yeah. Anything else from the actual conversation?
I mean, it basically follows the theme that a lot of these conversations are going to follow, which is like the person who is clearly not getting picked by the other person is like, well, this was a good experience. Thanks for your part in it. Whatever happens, we'll do our best. Yeah. That's all a bunch of these are.
Yeah. Minsu is very sad though. She's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
she's
yeah.
actually gonna cry in the tent when she's alone.
Yes.
And well, you said you're gonna have some evidence or your opinions that these people aren't here for love. Later, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is evidence. Minsu is not here to just get clout and fame. Like she is feeling things. She
I'm
came
not
here wanting to
okay,
fall
okay.
in love.
I need
It's
to
been a couple
clarify.
days. Okay.
I feel like a lot of people go on these shows not actually believing they're going to fall in love or whatever. But I do think that they are shoved in a weird, small pressure cooker of feelings for TV that makes them feel things. And I don't know that those feelings are necessarily things that will survive out in the real world, but I do believe that they're feeling things and that they do actually start feeling for each other. But I don't always believe that their motivations for going on the show is like, oh yes, I'm definitely gonna find
Oh,
love.
well, I mean, to think you're definitely going to find love, that's a little overconfident. But I think everybody that is casted on these shows is ready to fall in love and thinks that they can on these shows. Otherwise, why are they here?
To be on TV.
No, why would casting pick them? Is what I'm saying. Like
Because they're hot and they convinced the casting that they're here to fall in love.
bad casting. If that's well, but Minso is not one of these people. She is here because she's ready to fall in love, and she tried very hard, and it is not working out, and she is very sad now.
Or she's one of the very hot people who's never been rejected before and now is feeling weird about being rejected.
Damn,
That's
you
another
are
angle
harsh.
it could be.
You are harsh.
I
Sarah.
am heartless. It is true.
Jesus.
I'm just offering a potential perspective. I don't want to dismiss her emotions or whatever she's feeling. I'm just saying there's a lot of options.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna stay in my happy bubble.
Okay, you do you.
All right. Ready for Dongwoo and Solgi? Let's wrap up
Never,
Dongwoo's story.
never
Sarah,
ready for
okay.
Dongwoo and
Are you
Solgi.
actually okay? So you're actually still upset. I wrote in my notes like I know you were ready to like shit on Dongwoo before this conversation even started.
I mean,
And I feel like he was good, but I guess you're about to say otherwise. Okay.
it was fine, but it's like
It was good.
she's having a bit of a day, right? Like she's busy. Okay, like did he really need to pile onto this? Like did he really still need to? I guess he doesn't have options, but
I don't think he does
I don't
pile
know.
on. No, sorry. Okay, here's the position. You have to think about
Mhm.
as a guy on this show,
Yes,
you're picking first.
gotta stand in front of somebody.
You
Yeah.
have to stand in front of somebody. And like you could view it as like the worst case scenario is like you stand in front of somebody and they don't go with you. But
Mhm.
also it's like, do you really want to put somebody in a position where like they have to think about your feelings and whether or not they should like walk up with you? Like, like I think the only move here for Dongwoo and Hanbin is the same. I think the only move is you just kind of have to take the bullet and pick the person you know that's not going to pick you. Like, I think it's the only correct play to do.
Or do you do a little twisty move that gets a little attention and you just go stand in front of Sejong and say like, "Yeah, hey, what's up? I had nowhere else to be. You want to leave? Let's go."
It's too weird. I don't know. I don't think that's the way to do it.
Okay.
Like-
Okay. I guess.
Like, I don't want to put her in a situation where she feels like bad about leaving me there. Like
I don't.
why do that?
No, I think she would entirely get that this is not, you're not there because you've been pining over her secretly. I think she would be appreciative of not being left alone on this beach and she would think it was a little funny. Does it not feel worse to stand in front of this person who like clearly has told you already it's not happening, let's just be friends, and then just get left on the beach there? I'd rather get left on the beach by the person I didn't really even talk to.
I think it feels worse for Dongwoo, but
Mhm.
in terms of respecting everybody else on the show, I think he has to do this. That's what I'm saying.
I think it would be fun to go stand in front of Sejong.
Okay. I think that's I don't think
Or
you can
even
do that.
Minsu be like, we didn't get to talk much on the island. Maybe we can talk out in the real world.
I don't think you can do that. I wouldn't want like if I had to make the final decision, I wouldn't want anybody to do that to me.
Oh no, I would think it was funny, and I would enjoy it rather than being left alone on this beach. If I was the walking decider person, I would totally pull this shit. I'd just be like, it's like Zoe picking Hanbin for Paradise. She just wanted to have a good time. Like, let's just whatever, it's not a big deal. Friend Paradise date.
All right. I'm shocked by this opinion, but okay.
I mean, are you really?
I mean, a little. Usually you're a
Okay.
little more like, oh, Dongwoo's got to be sensitive to other people's emotions. Like,
But the difference is, I don't think he's hurting anyone's feelings by showing up at their front door at the end of this, just being like, hey, whatever.
I think you're making somebody uncomfortable for no reason. That's what I think. But so what he's doing here is he's just telling Solgi, hey, I'm going to pick you in the end. Don't, like, I just want you to know so you don't feel weird about it. He knows he's not going to pick me. I know you're not going to pick me, but that's what I'm going to do. He could do the same thing with Minsu or Sejun or Nadine and be like, hey, I'm going to pick you in the end because I don't feel like anybody's going to pick me. He could do it to anybody, but I think the right thing to do is just do it to the person you do have the most feelings for and then just take the loss. I think that's like the classiest way to go about this, is in my opinion.
I just feel like you can make somebody else's end of this game a little bit better by being like, you're not alone on this beach.
I mean, they get to see all the other people not get picked at the end. It's the same thing.
Okay.
I don't know. To me, it's an unnecessary feeling to give somebody, to be like, I don't just have to stand on this beach by myself. Now I have to go walk off while everybody's watching me by myself. Well, I don't know. I think Dong.
I mean, but then you get to leave the beach. You don't have to stand out there while production films from a drone a million hours later.
That's the one complaint I have about the show. Why is seeing the losers on the beach by themselves the last thing we see on the show? It's not. Come on, Singles Inferno. Show me the happy couples.
See the couples in the helicopter or whatever, or the boat, however they escape
with the couples, and then that's the end of the show. Yeah.
No, they're like, these people are gonna die alone on this beach. Don't need that.
All right, to me, Dongwoo does what you have to do here.
I mean, sure, if you're gonna still go pick Solgi, even though she told you no, like, this is the, hey, don't feel super burdened about me showing up tomorrow. Yeah, that's the move.
Yeah,
the good thing to say, but he didn't have to do it.
Yeah, let's just do Hanbin and Saeun, because it's basically the same thing, right?
Yep. They're on the beach. They're talking about it's the same thing.
Hanbin's story is over. Same sentiment. He supports her.
Yep. He had a meaningful time, or she had a meaningful time. Whatever. They're not going home together.
Good game, Dongwoo. Good game, Hanbin. Nadine and Saeun are gonna talk in the tent, and this was actually kind of funny. They speak English to each other, like briefly for a little bit, like hello and can I sit with you, or like something like that. But they do it. I swear they're doing it in like a British accent.
I mean, why not?
Did you hear that though?
Yeah.
It's like a wild kind of hear, like they to hear from Saeun the whole time, because we haven't even heard her speak English, I think.
Well, Saeun makes sense. Like, if you are a Korean who is learning English, like, you can learn English in whatever accent you want. Like,
oh, you think that's her actual
British?
English accent? Like, when she speaks English, that's her actual accent? I thought she was just
one of the Monster X boys. Now, when he speaks English, is kind of in a British accent. It has wandered over the years, but like that's an option. Go for it. Live your fancy British accent life.
I see. Okay, I thought she was just doing a British accent for whatever.
I mean, you could also choose to have a deep Southern American accent be your English accent. Like, the options are unlimited.
I guess so.
But nobody does that because it sounds fancier to be British, I guess.
Okay. Nadine doesn't know who Jin Young is going to pick because she hasn't talked to him yet. I have to believe that she eventually talks to him before the day's over, right?
In theory, but
they don't show
so.
it, which makes me think like something definitive might have happened in the conversation.
Yeah, probably.
He might have said like, "Oh, I'm not picking you," which is why like when he does the fake out with Nadine,
she doesn't seem faked by it.
Yeah, Nadine has like no reaction to it. Yeah, as if like either I don't know if he necessarily told her like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this fake out thing," but he's like already told her that what he's gonna do. I think.
Yeah,
but
that's
at least that he's not gonna pick her. We don't get to see that conversation.
But right now she thinks that Minsu is 100% in the Jin Young camp, and maybe just had a mental breakdown or something. Like, she seems to think that Minsu is not having a good time.
Yeah, I didn't think a lot of that comment until I think after this is when we get to see Minsu actually crying.
Yeah.
I think it was just to kind of explain why she's crying, I guess. But I don't know. To me, it's crazy that Minsu would be that invested.
Yeah.
Like, I can see like, okay, you get a little sad, you cry a little bit, but to categorize it as like a breakdown.
A mental breakdown. Yeah.
That's like pretty
agree.
intense.
Yeah.
But Minsu could be that kind of person. And she was here to find somebody. So maybe she's just like that.
Solid maybe.
That's all right. Yeah. Is that enough for the one-on-ones? I think we're done.
Yeah, I think that's it. Now it's nighttime and they're at the fire.
Soda by
but
the fire at night.
yeah, they have soda instead of beer this time.
No, I don't think these contestants want soda though, right? Like this is just product placement. I mean
I think so, yeah.
the alcohol is product placement too, I think.
Yeah.
But this felt like really forced. Like maybe
Yes.
Solgi likes soda because she doesn't drink, so maybe she appreciated this, but
I mean, they could have
feel like
done a
everybody
mix
else
of
wanted to
both
drink.
so everybody could get what they wanted, but
Yeah.
nope. Production said you're staying sober
This
tonight.
scene is awesome though, because I don't really remember this scene from last season. They must have done it, but it just
They must have,
wasn't memorable. They're basically gonna like talk very openly about things and ask each other
Basically,
questions.
they're like, tell us your ages. God damn it, I need to know.
They're finally allowed to talk in a group as if there's no restrictions. That's the idea.
Yes. And so we find out that Sejong, who is the mystery who's never been to paradise, that she is 26 and a model, which I'm not surprised. She
Not
seemed
surprised, yeah.
like a model, yeah.
Yeah. Whenever anybody reveals their age and occupation, there's always a huge reaction.
Oh,
From,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
everyone.
Like, everyone is super shocked that Hanbin is only 24. Like,
That's a great one. Yeah.
Jongwoo seems shook to his core because he was like
Yeah.
convinced he was the youngest.
Now, can you explain this? Because they say Jongwoo has been calling him Hyun the whole time.
Oh yeah, Hyung is a guy. We'll call another guy who is older and close to him Hyung. So it's like
Okay.
the equivalent of Oppa, but it's between two men.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it literally means like older brother, but from a male perspective.
And then whenever this happens, like this, you were wrong about the age and you were using the wrong word. People are very like, they feel the need that they must apologize
Yes.
for making such a horrific mistake.
I mean, it's a key part of the language and the culture. It's important to folks.
But Jungwoo is even like, he makes it seem like he's still gonna call him Hyung, even though
Yeah, he's like, he feels younger than him.
He can't
yeah.
see him as younger than him anymore. Yeah. Huge reaction from Dongwoo's age and occupation. 32
Yes.
plastic surgeon. That was a huge reaction.
Yes.
What else did we get?
I forgot that Yoongjae was 32.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So, like, thinking back on this jealous man actions, I'm like, you should be more like you're too old for this shit. But okay.
Huge reaction from 32. I think Dongwoo gets very excited that they're the same age.
Yes, he wasn't the lone old man.
You can like see him get up and go to Yoonjae like he's gonna give him like a high five or a hug or something.
Yeah.
And then somebody says, I don't know who, someone says major plot twist that Yoonjae is 32 years old. Major plot
he
twist.
Does not behave like an adult.
Maybe. I don't know what age everybody thought he was. Yeah.
Probably 28. Everybody guesses 28.
And then Nadine's gonna reveal her age is 23, and Sejun's face like.
Well, it's not just that she's
embarrassed.
23. It's she says she's a college student, and I think Jin Young's like, "What school?" Because he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
And she's like, "I went to Harvard," and that's when Sejun's like, "Oh God, I've offended this fancy woman," and he just apologizes to her.
But I'm confused about what did he do that would have been offensive? Because I don't think that he thought she was older than him. But it's like something about her career path. It's not,
I guess
it's not even an age thing.
I guess he was just like joking with her in a particular way that was like he didn't take her seriously, I guess. Whereas she like has a very serious career path she's gonna follow. Or that's what I have to assume because we didn't get any of these scenes where he treats her weirdly or whatever. But this reaction is hilarious and I just still think he's the funniest and I enjoy Sejun to the very end.
I wrote down what he said specifically. He said, "I'm sorry for talking to you so casually. Please don't think ill of me." But like the casually thing doesn't make sense because Nadine is actually younger than him.
Right.
So it's not the language casual. It's something else that has occurred that is totally over my head.
It's got to be something about like her going to the very fancy school and the like career path she's choosing, I guess.
Okay. And then Solgi admits that she has decided who she will choose tomorrow.
Yes. Things start to get spicy. It was all nice and friendly and people are asking each other ages and then like they start asking like about first impressions and whatever. And it does get to this point where they ask Solgi if she made up her mind. And then Jin Young asked Solgi if she liked Paradise when she went with him or if she liked Paradise when she went with Jongwoo. And it's just like, oof.
But she won't say because the producers won't let her.
Yes. She's like, sorry, but I'm gonna pass on this
Yeah,
one.
she's like, I'm gonna have to pass on that.
Yeah.
Because somebody behind the camera was like, nope, nope, can't do that. Probably. That's what I think. And then everybody's gonna share their final words.
Yeah, they're all gonna say some nice things about how this time was meaningful and enjoyable or whatever. And Jungwoo cries a little cries a little
Jungwoo
bit.
just says, I'm thankful, and then he just starts tearing up. And this boy got me good here.
Oh, here is where he got you? Okay.
Oh, he got me here. He's gonna get me again, but he got me good here.
He got me at the end.
He got you at the end. No, this was so good. Like, oh, it's incredible. All right, final decision time.
Final day. All the women are waiting at the various spots on the island. Some of those spots are just along the beach.
All right, how much do you want to actually talk about this? I'll just blast through it. Ready?
Yeah.
Hanbin, Sawon. Second, Jungwoo, Logi. Oh, wait, here we go. Hanbin says to Soe on the way out,
Yeah.
You really are the most important person to me on Singles Inferno.
I love the storyline of their, like, little rejection friendship. Like, I like them being friends. It's cute.
Yeah. And I'm glad Hanbin didn't go stand next to Soe. And he just did the actual, like, he's staying, within the purpose of the show. Well,
in this case, like, she has somebody to leave with.
That's true in this case, yeah.
But yeah, like, basically everybody fake stops off at least one person on the way to their real pick and says some, like, encouraging words.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily faking. I think production kind of encourages them to say something. Like, they're like, hey, we put them in this order so that you can say something on the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everybody, this is orchestrated fully.
Yeah. Jungwoo, on the way to Seolgi, says to Nadine, you did great. I had the most fun when I talked with you. They
also had a similar, like, rejection buddy time, back in Inferno hanging out, which was cute. Yeah. I liked that too.
Yunjae. Now, this seemed forced. This seemed like,
yeah.
I felt like production was like, come on, Yunjae, you got to say something to Soe on the way out. We put it there.
Yep. And I feel bad for Soe for having to hear this from him. But he says that she was brave and cool.
Thank you for your efforts. That's a thing that it gets translated a lot. Thank you for your efforts. They actually say that a lot to each other, so that's not as awkward as it sounds. But yeah, seems a little forced. I think if production forced any interaction here, this was the one.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So yeah, Yunjae's at Sawon too. Fourth, Sejun. He goes straight to Soe because he's like the closest. Didn't have to talk to anybody else.
And I feel like he got some cool guy music when he was choosing, which I enjoyed.
Oh, okay. Jin Young gets some cool guy music.
Yeah, definitely.
He's gonna go last. Dongwoo is fifth. Says to Nadine, it was nice to meet you. You are a wonderful person. Hugs.
And he says this all in English.
He said that all in English, yeah. But he's like, hugs? Yeah. We get more hugs after this, but I think that was the first hug out of all the interactions, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then he goes off to Seolgi.
Are you ready to break down the Jin Young performance here? This is great.
Okay.
This is quality.
So Jin Young, on the way to Seolgi, first he stops at Minsu, and he doesn't just stop at her. This is my beef with him.
He actually does the thing twice. Yeah.
Next to her, like he chose her, and then he pauses and he says, "Let's talk more when we leave Inferno," and then he hugs her.
Yeah. He hugs her. That's a good note.
Yeah. Then he goes and stops at Nadine. Again, not in front of her like everyone else has done to everyone they've stopped at. He stands next to her and just doesn't say anything for a little while, like making it feel like he's just, and then he says some like bullshit about like the weather or whatever, and like, or she looks nice today, just like a path, like something you would say if you weren't saying your farewell comments to someone, just well, I'm standing here now. And then we see everybody on the island go, wait, is he staying there? Did he pick her? And we see all the hosts going, wait, did he pick her? And then I'm going, wait, did he pick her?
Yeah.
Of course he didn't pick her.
They got me here. They did. They got me too. Because I had that 10% chance in my head, and I was like, ooh, 10% chance hitting.
And this is what I wanted to happen, so I was extra, like, ready to be like, yeah, let's go.
Oh,
really? But then he says some bullshit about always supporting her dreams, and then goes and hangs out with Seolgi.
No hugs, though. No hugs on this one.
No hugs.
Yeah, that's important.
But he didn't have to stand. All he had to do was face them from the front and not do this fake outside step move. This man was just here to make good TV, and I'm annoyed at it.
Well, I don't think he was just here to make good TV. I don't know if he was encouraged to do this or this was just a fun thing that he came up with. This is something I would do if I was on the show, Sarah.
But you would do it because you're trying to make good TV, right? Like, this isn't a fun thing.
I'm doing production a solid, you know?
Yeah.
You hopefully would, maybe let Mitsu and hopefully Nadine and Mitsu kind of knew you weren't going to pick them. But like, it's kind of mean.
Mitsu was literally yesterday crying over this man. I don't appreciate the fake out. I mean, he doesn't know that she was crying, but like...
I think they know that this is going to happen. That's my personal opinion, but... Or at least
I
they know
so.
that he's not picking them, Like,
yeah.
They've released their hopes of him picking them, and then... Yeah, Nadine literally has no reaction to him standing next to him, so...
Also, Nadine's dress is really good. I liked her dress.
Oh, okay.
She looked very pretty. But yeah, I'm bummed. It was so annoying. It just...
Really? Okay.
I didn't like the fake out.
It was great TV. I liked it.
It was good TV, but I didn't like it because it's not what I wanted to happen.
Pure joy.
Damn it.
Yeah. So, again, I think Jin Young already knows he's not getting picked. And the fact that he says what he says to Minsu and hugs her.
Okay.
And
feel like he's hedging his bets.
Doesn't hug Nadine. I think he's leaving the door open.
Okay. Interesting.
And then I have one more point to note later that we'll get to.
Okay.
How do you want to blast through these walk away? Who?
Okay, well, we'll do them in order.
The women have to, like, hold out their hands and be like, come with me over the hill. And then they walk off together if the women want to. They don't have to.
Yeah. And, like, usually the guys say a thing. It's some nice shit or whatever. I don't know. So he chooses Sejun. Good job. They leave together.
Okay,
it's cute.
Okay.
I love it.
It's cute. Okay, well, we got to talk about this. Hold on, ready?
Okay.
I also just wrote might as well in my notes. Even if so,
well, like,
isn't just, like, if I was on the show and somebody was genuinely interested in me, and maybe I haven't fully, like, given the same vibes, but, like, they're the only one that picked me in the end, like, am I really just gonna leave them there on the beach?
If they're not terrible, if you don't hate spending time with them, might as well, quote unquote, win the show and leave in a couple.
Yeah. So this really doesn't mean anything, but I like to believe that this is a possible relationship, that it could be serious. And then, Sarah, the cutest, funniest moment of the season happens when they're walking away.
Yeah.
While they're walking away up the stairs, Zoe just says out of nowhere, I fell here yesterday.
And he's like, see, this is why I'm worried when I'm not with you. You're always getting hurt.
I told you to be careful. See, this is why I get worried when you leave my sight.
That's like some shit straight out of like a like romantic comic or like a K-drama or some shit. It's so cute.
The way Zoe said I fell here yesterday made me laugh so hard. I had to like pause it. I had to pause because I was gonna miss the next good stuff. Yeah. I was laughing so hard. Oh, just so you know, I fell here yesterday.
So cute.
Oh, so good. All right.
So then we get to Sawon, and Hanbin says some nice shit. And Youngjae says, Sawon, leave Inferno with me. The man put zero effort into this. Like, this is this big romantic moment, right? And he's just like, let's go. I'm like, say some nice shit to her. Come on.
So what they say to Seolgi, like what Jungwoo says to Seolgi is also doesn't seem a lot, but it is. But we know that it's kind of like an inside joke information thing. Is there potential that this is an inside thing? I don't know. Because we didn't get to see it, but... They talk for so long, you would think they would have a bunch of inside things that they could say to each other.
You would think, but this doesn't. It just, I don't.
I would hope that if it was an inside joke thing, the show would have shown us the thing that would make us know that it's an inside. Yeah. So it does seem like he just knows he won, so he doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Put a little effort in, my dude.
It's all right.
But yeah, so she picks him and they leave, and Hanbin says the weather is great. Just alone.
Yeah. Before we get to the big moment, though, let's talk a little more production strategy here. Ready?
Okay.
So they get to the end, and these are the choices that the guys make, and then they have to go in reverse.
Yes.
But what do you think there just wasn't enough content? I guess there just wasn't enough content with Sawon and Hanbin to really sell this choice for Sawon, right? So they didn't put it in.
I don't even know that there's not enough content. Like, I think she had a good time with Hanbin, but like, she was really into Youngjae. Like, there was just
From
She
what we
was
saw, yeah. But they could have, they could have dialed back showing how good Samhain was with Yunjae, and then maybe elaborated how good Hanbin was with Samhain on their date. And
mm,
then they could have made it seem like this was a harder choice than it was. But I think ultimately, like, maybe the show only wants to have like one surprise ending each season. Like they want
okay.
the audience to feel good about what they've seen and some level of consistency, and then there's going to be like one big twist. That's kind of how in the 2 seasons that I've watched, I feel like that's kind of how it's gone. And now the twist in last season wasn't really in the end decision, but they did make Gia's decision seem like it was a tough decision. Yeah.
And that was the big like final one.
Yeah, that was the finale thing. I think like maybe
Yeah.
episode 6 it was the Sehun decision, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. There might only be one room for a big surprise decision at the end, so you're more often than not you're going to get like, okay, this makes sense, and then
Yeah.
I think there has to be a surprise at the end for the show to feel like
Yeah.
good, right? Like I don't know.
Like if you just automatically know everybody who's going into the end who they're going to pick, like there's no tension.
Yeah. I think they're always going to create tension around one pick at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I just think this particular pick there was nothing to work with, like she's literally wearing his shirt around the island, like they coupled up hard.
Yeah, I think they would really have had to embellish lying to the audience for this one, whereas it wasn't so hard with the other one. And they did, I think they did manipulate, but it wasn't like that egregious.
Yeah.
Okay, Solgi and Jongwoo, we got to break this down. This is good.
Okay,
Jongwoo says something. I didn't write that down.
I didn't write it down either. Doesn't matter. This man doesn't need to be here.
Jin Young
says...
This is incredible. What is your subtitle here?
He says, I think I like you.
That is what I got also. Yeah, that is what I got.
And like coming from this man, holy shit, that's some big feelings, right? Like he has never expressed actual direct feelings.
You're actually with the hosts here then. Because the hosts have a huge reaction to this. Like, oh my God, he likes her. And the fact that he puts I think in front of it, I'm going to ignore that part.
It's
this
just
was
because
such a big
of
deal to them.
who his personality is. Like, if it had been anyone else, it wouldn't have been, to steal a word from Jin Young, impactful.
Okay.
It would have just been like, okay, sure, you put minimal effort into this moment. Good job.
To me, if he had any chance with these final words, he blew it with the I think I like you. I wrote in my notes, way to commit, dude. You know what, Soge? I gotta tell you something. I think I like you.
I mean, but with this show, it's also some of the most straightforward, like, feelings talk we get, right? Like, from anybody, because they all have to talk in riddles.
I guess.
It is pretty straightforward.
He's literally competing with somebody who is obsessed over one girl the whole time.
Yes.
He doesn't know what they talk about, but I bet you he has indicated to her that he likes her for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
I think. So he's not putting a lot of strength into this, Maybe he's like, I think I like you, but if you don't pick me, I don't like you.
No, he's still playing the mysterious, cool guy, has a hard time expressing his feelings card,
yourself,
like,
bro.
This is the thing that, like, took him so much effort to say.
All right. Well, do better. That's how I feel.
Okay.
All right, here's where it gets weird, Sarah.
What gets weird?
We cut to a confessional of Jin Young.
Uh-huh.
And it's at, like, sunset, where it's, like, it's dark out now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is different than any other confessional that we get to see throughout this whole final decision process.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about, now I didn't write down specifically. I don't think he specifies if he's talking about Solgi or not.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But he says that I plan to ask her out to dinner after the show is over.
Uh-huh.
Is he talking about Solgi in this moment? Or is he talking about Minsu? I'd have to go back. I'm not sure.
You're supposed to assume he's talking about Solgi, right?
Yeah. But even that is a little weird, right? Like, Solgi's kind of made her choice, but he's, like, still going to go for it. I guess it's not that
Or
weird,
you're, like, supposed to think that this confessional is before she's made her choice.
Yeah, is it? I couldn't tell if it was, like, the night before or if it was after.
I did not take a note of which clothes he was wearing.
Yeah, neither did I. I think if we wanted to do some additional investigation here, I just think there's a non-zero chance he's talking about Minsu here.
Yeah, but the show is never gonna put that in and let you know that that's what, like, they're 100% gonna use it in this way.
I think they used his confession about Minsu to, like, at the very last second before Solgi chooses, like, convince us again that Jin Young is, like, it almost made us feel like Solgi has already picked Jin Young and he's excited to, like, take her out to dinner. Like, that's almost how it came across, right?
I think for me, because I was not on this crazy, maybe he's into Minsu conspiracy theory train you're on, it sounded like he actually does intend to, like, try to date her after the show, because I automatically believe that nobody actually ends up dating after the show. So to me, it sounded like a reinforcement of, like, yeah, I do actually want to date her.
Okay. I'm gonna go back and watch this. Maybe I'll have to edit the podcast differently depending on if he, I don't think he says Solgi. I have to go see if he says Solgi, and maybe I'll just take this out if he
Do you
does
want to
say
just
Solgi.
pause right now and go look at it?
All right, going in.
Okay, this is not the same clothes. This is like the day before.
This is ambiguous though, right? Let's go. This is ambiguous as hell. Once again, I'm not good at expressing myself. And then during my time with her, I'm sorry she got stressed or had a hard time because of me, which literally just happened, right?
No, okay. She was stressed and had a hard time because he kept going to paradise with other girls.
Oh no, I understand that this could apply to Solgi.
No, I think this 100% applies to Solgi.
Oh, and it can be more than 50, but it's not 100. He also, when he's talking to Minsu, is like double checks with her to make sure she's okay, and she's like, "Yeah, I got all my tears out yesterday." You know, like he is thinking about how the effect he's had on Minsu.
Right, but his feelings about Minsu are not in question. Like, he told her that he was done with her.
But only in the context that he chose Solgi over her, but he's about to not have Solgi anymore.
I don't buy it.
Okay. Right.
I don't buy it.
Okay.
So then Jungwoo says, "Would you like to have coffee with me?" Which is not a big statement, but it's cute. It's a reference back to, like, their whole thing, and I approve of this general statement.
Yeah, it's fine.
Nice.
And then we get a confessional from Jungwoo where it's like daytime, which makes it feel like it's before Solgi's decision. But okay, you're saying that Jin Young is also before, but it was like the night before.
Yeah.
Somehow, or early morning or something weird. Okay. Also here, now that Solgi has heard the words from all the guys, he's going to go to them one by one, starting with Dongwoo. And then she goes to Jungwoo as we are seeing it on the show, and then to Jin Young.
Yes.
I'm going to put my money on that she talked to Jin Young second, but the show showed it out of order. That's what I'm going to put my money on. Because what she says to Jin Young is very like she's about to not pick him, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think
definitely.
You're awesome thing. Yeah.
It's not you. It's me.
I looked at the video of this. I think they easily could have edited
definitely.
it in the different order. Yeah. Because I think the move is that you save the person you're going to pick to, like, last. At least that's what I would naturally do. I don't know.
That's what I would naturally do. But I think, like, at least what we were shown, Soen did it in the opposite direction. Like, she said her last little nice thing to Hanbin. But again, could be edited and whatever.
And then Solgi picks Jungwoo. And
yes.
I got pumped as fuck when I watched this. I, like, spiked my empty drink container on the floor. And did a fist
wow.
bump and was like, hell yeah, let's go. I was so invested in this.
You were about to not like a bunch of the words I say.
I'm probably going to think they're wrong, but...
No, okay. So this is great. I'm right there with you. I like that she picked him. He's tearing up. I'm tearing up. The hosts are openly weeping.
Yes.
It's a nice
the host
moment.
crying made me cry.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But then we get this confessional from Solgi. And I wrote a bunch of this shit down word for word because I think it's important.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Yeah. You have strong feelings about this.
I have strong feelings about this. She said, if I choose the guys based on whether I want to be with a guy whom I like or whether I want to be with a guy who likes me, I think I've always dated people whom I liked. But Jungwoo's been very sincere with me from the beginning to the end, and the feelings that he expressed to me are very earnest, so I think Jungwoo is the person who broke the standards I had set for myself. So, like, she's basically saying, like, she likes Jin Young, but she likes being liked by Jungwoo, right? Like, that's how I hear that.
Yeah, okay. I think you're taking it, like, her words literally by the translation. To me, I interpret it more as, like, in the past, I am with somebody that I liked first versus like them liking me first kind of thing.
Okay.
I think I also read the same words that you just said. So
Hmm.
I understand where you're coming from, but like I feel like I identify as somebody that maybe was liked before I thought about the other person romantically. So,
Okay.
and I am in a happy, successful relationship. So
Okay.
I know where Solgi is coming from here, you know? Like
Okay.
that's how I feel. So
I just don't know that I have confidence that she will get to the point where she likes him as much as he likes her. And like I see it very much as she's growing, right? She's like growing out of the liking the cool guy phase and into the seeing what's more important in a relationship, right? But I'm worried that this is the first shiny thing in that direction and that she doesn't necessarily have the feelings for him, which bums me out because I do like Jungwoo and I want him to be in a happy relationship.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, both these people are 23, 24 years old. They have
Yeah.
not reached the full level of maturity by my standards. You know, 27,
Yes, yes.
28 is probably more of that age.
Their
So
brains are still
there's still a
baking.
few years that they could completely change in terms of personality or
Right.
whatever they think about the world or whatever. But as they are right now, if they remain the same, I think they would have a successful relationship.
Okay.
That's how I feel. But there's so many factors as to why it might not work out. But I think, yeah, I think it's it's okay. It's okay to be the trophy, Sarah. That's how I'll put it.
Okay, okay. I mean, that being said, I don't think that I have any reason to actually believe that any of these couples are actual relationships going forward. I think
You think they're already over, or are you just long term?
I think I'm not necessarily convinced that they even dated after the show was over, you know?
Oh,
I
okay.
think like
That's a bold
probably
statement.
Youngjae and Soen, I feel like probably they went on some actual dates at the very least, if not actually continued together because their shit
Damn,
was intense or
Sarah.
whatever.
I'm sorry, listeners. Like, this is very negative. This is so,
I
like, why do we watch these
think
shows? What are we here
because
for?
the ride is fun. Like, you know,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
the ride is fun because the goal is so juicy.
I guess. I think Zoe and Sejun, I hope that they actually have a nice relationship. I think like she might go in a friend direction with him because we didn't necessarily see that she was fully convinced on this as a romantic thing or not.
So he's so young. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the like,
Crazy young.
I would grade the like likelihood of these relationships working out as much as I would if they happened in the real world, you know?
Okay.
Like the odds that they don't work are the same as like so he's only 21, 22 years old. So she's going to change a whole bunch, you
Yeah.
know, by the time she is probably really ready to commit, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, other than like maybe these people don't live close to each other, so it might be like logistically
Logistically
inconvenient.
difficult. Yeah.
It could be logistically inconvenient, so that might make it harder than if they just like met somebody that lived near them. But I don't know. This experience can be pretty bonding on these shows, so I see no reason to doubt that these people didn't give it a go.
We have zero evidence that people from the first season ever properly relationshiped up
Yeah, but
afterwards.
I mean, I don't I didn't feel that strongly last season about
Oh, okay.
certain people.
I will say that I checked the internet ahead of time, and the internet says that none of these couples follow each other on Instagram. Now, whether that is
On this
because they were
season,
hiding things,
yeah, that
yeah,
doesn't
from this
mean it
season,
doesn't mean
it
anything.
or whatever. The point is, there's no internet proof that they are continued dating. Is all I have to say.
Okay, well they're literally not allowed to prove it, so it
I
doesn't mean
mean,
anything.
the episode came out 2 days ago. They
Yeah,
could
but
post whatever they
you have
want
to
now.
give the show wants people to have time to watch it before it's spoiled. You know, it's like
I guess.
I don't know how long they're gonna give, maybe a week.
So, of these three couples, you think they all continue on as relationships?
Sawon and Yoonjae have to be going out. I don't know what experience they would have to be like, oh wow, like we were totally wrong about how we felt on the show. Like to me, they go out for a solid amount of time.
Okay.
I also think Jungwoo and Solgi must have given it a go. You know,
Okay.
these people are here. These people are here because they wanted to find a relationship, and now they found one. Like they're not going to not give it a go.
Solid maybe.
My God, Sarah, Jesus. I wouldn't say like the success rate on these shows is necessarily high, but I like they're trying. They want it to work out. They're gonna try. All right. Yeah, we see the losers on the show, and then that's the end of the.
They have to stand out there so long.
What a drone flying around with the losers. They did the same thing last year, and I was like, that was a weird ending.
Yeah.
They
show the
down.
happy people on a boat or something, you know?
Yeah, or a helicopter or something. I don't know.
Oh, I do have to say that this very last like big decision is like exactly the same as last season, right? We had 3 guys going after this one girl. One who knew he didn't stand a chance and never moved on. One who's kind of the quote unquote bad guy who came in late and shook things up and she seemed really into. And then one who's a puppy guy that follows her around the entire time and she eventually picked him because she liked being liked. It's the exact same format.
I wouldn't say Gia and the guy last year were the same dynamic as Jungwoo and Seolgi, but
I mean, there's a certain amount of there is this guy who follows her around and is just like, I will do things for you.
But like, okay, the difference is, okay, last season, a huge difference. Like, Gia liked that guy from the beginning also.
That is true.
So, last season, like, Gia might have literally never switched, but they convinced us that it was, there was a choice at the end, you know? This kind of thing.
I mean, she did sit awkwardly in a tub with the other guy. So,
yeah,
you know, there's that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just like, maybe just the dynamics of the show, like that's how it's gonna
that's just always gonna be. Yeah,
maybe production is like doing good job of like the personalities they're putting on here and they're getting the right combinations that they want to make these dramatic moments, but I think it's more of just like this is just how it's gonna play out a lot. And production takes what they get and edits it from there, so edits backwards. That's what I think they do. Okay, you want to talk about the videos a little bit? Are there still any negative feelings you want to get out? Any of the Ken Testons?
No, I mean just baseline. I don't believe in love shit. That's fine.
Jesus.
Or at least love from reality TV shows.
Okay, let's talk about the videos a little bit.
Okay,
I think there's evidence in the videos, the YouTube videos. Now I don't know when they were
particular ones are we referencing? The one where they watch the show. Okay.
The one with the reunion when they're watching the show.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know when they filmed these. Maybe like I think it's before the entire season aired, so it's at least like a month ago, but you know, well after. I think it should be at least a few months after they finished filming on the island.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because they needed to have all the time to edit and everything, yeah.
I think that there's evidence that Jungwoo and Seolgi are still dating in that video. So the way these videos work is like the men are watching together and the women are watching together, but they're watching separately, but they're watching the same content together. They're watching the same content as each other, but not together. The men and the women are separate.
Right.
And then the women are like getting ready to watch the like Seolgi's date with Jin Young, and they're like, they're like, I can't wait to see this. Like they're so excited. But then like Seolgi has this like realization moment where she's like, wait, if we're watching this, does that mean that Jungwoo is going to see this too? And she gets like very worried about it. She's like, oh no, Jungwoo's going to see this. So to me, that suggests that they're still together. Like, I don't know why she would really care.
Yeah.
And then there's also a moment, this is less of an indicator, but there's also a moment when they're talking about the fight pit and the women were talking about how intense it was. And then Seolgi says like, I was rooting for Jungwoo, but I was actually more worried that he would get hurt in the fight. Which suggests to me that like she wasn't actually worried about him like winning or beating Jin Young. Like she was kind of like, she's like, I feel how I feel about Jungwoo regardless of how this ends, kind of thing. So that's my indicator that maybe even if Jungwoo didn't get to go to Paradise, he might have still, or Seolgi might have still picked him. I think there's a chance at least.
I will accept your first piece of evidence as, they probably have dated at least a little bit after the show. Okay, I apologize.
No, but they're still dating at the time.
Well, recording, At the time of recording, they are still
I mean, that's a few
dating.
months. That's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Good job, folks.
Plus, they're the same age. They're going to grow together similarly, potentially.
Okay.
I have hopes. I have hopes for that. There was something that kind of came up that I was like, okay, maybe Zoe and
Seijun?
Seijun, yeah, are potentially still together. Now Seijun isn't in the videos. There must have been like a scheduling conflict or something.
Yeah.
He's not on the guy's side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting what it was, but I got a bit of a feeling that maybe they're still together. And then Yunjae and Salwon, I have no idea. I did not get an indication. I don't know. Yunjae was kind of quiet for a lot of it, but that might just be how he is.
Yeah.
Especially since there are a lot of awkward moments with him, I think, throughout the
and
thing.
she's just so cool that like she
so
wasn't gonna give anything away. Yeah.
She's so cool that like the relationship might not have worked out, and she was still like really excited to watch it. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hopefully we'll find out. Anything else from the videos that you thought was funny? Oh, the Minsu. Okay, Minsu had a totally different impression of Jin Young, which was interesting.
Oh yeah.
You don't really think about it when you watch the show, but like she didn't get to see Jin Young like do the tug of war game and like all this
and
other
his
stuff.
like cool guy entrance or whatever. Yeah.
Because he like wore glasses and like wore his hair back, like when she
and was
first
really
saw him,
quiet
and really quiet. Yeah, like she thought he was like an artsy type,
or like a poet or something.
Poet, yeah. That was interesting. I didn't really think about Minsu's perspective on the show a lot, but yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, those videos were fun to watch.
Not really, definitely.
Like, not anything really spoilery or like dramatic, but they were fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
What a great season.
Yeah.
I think that was way better than season 1. Like season 1 was like, wow, I haven't seen a show like this before, at least for me. And then this season was like, I think they casted better this season.
Oh, interesting. Because I would say I think I liked some people from the first season better than this season.
You liked them in the sense that like you were attracted to them more, or like they were.
No, I liked watching their progression on the show. I don't know. I just liked them as people, I guess.
I think there were more duds last season. like even for me, like Gia became the most popular girl on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she was like the least interesting. Like,
oh yeah, I was not a big Gia.
I think the show like struggled to even present Gia in like a way that, other than that, like she's hot, you know. Like I don't know. There was something about it that I felt like there are better options out there for casting, I think. And then the only potential dud on this season, in my opinion, was Sejong, only because we literally didn't see her. So
I think that was an editing problem, though. Like the bit of her personality that we did see, I enjoyed watching her.
I can't even remember a time they used her to set up like a choice, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, she never even had close enough of a connection to somebody that she was an option that could have happened. It just
there was no way to fool the audience that she was going to get picked by anyone, because like she just wasn't connecting with anyone on that level.
Maybe she just got unlucky with the other people on the show, and maybe but even if that's the case, like that's in the hands of casting. It's a mistake that they didn't do the personality tests or whatever they do properly. Like they have to.
Well, it's also an issue of how like deadlocked people got by being super hyper focused on one person and didn't like even see other people as an option for a while.
Yeah. I guess Hangbin would have had a very similar edit if he never went to Paradise, but he got to go to Paradise once, so he at least got something.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe ultimately on these shows, like somebody's gonna not get to be part of the show.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And it's not necessarily that they were a casting dud; it's just like the nature of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like the season. Really good. Can't wait for next season.
Oh yeah.
And can't wait for Transit Love 2, Sarah.
Oh yeah.
Are you done? Do you want to move on and talk about what we're doing next?
I am ready to move on.
All right. Thank you, Singles Inferno. On January 23rd, we are going to a WWE live event. Mm-hmm. Sarah's first ever WWE experience.
Yes.
We're going to do a podcast about her experience at the live event.
This is correct.
And on January 28th, we are going to watch the WWE Royal Rumble together. And Sarah's going to share her experience about watching the Royal Rumble, which I think is the most interesting. It's one of the most interesting events of the year, especially without context. You can kind of enjoy it regardless. So that'll be fun.
Are you ready for me to not remember anyone's names and then try to describe these wrestlers by weird characteristics that I've picked up on? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'll be
just
here to
prepare
explain.
yourself.
I'll explain the details. I know enough that I can explain the details. Also, I didn't talk about. I think in the video, the they did get to a moment of like when they were showing the fight pit between the guys that like we got to see like Jin Young. I think production really didn't clarify what the rules were about the specifics of how you get eliminated, because they didn't think it would come up, and then they had to make a ruling. But like Jin Young really made it seem like he thought it was like WWE Royal Rumble rules,
where it's
like
your feet touching the ground, or
literally have to touch the ground. And you can see at the end where he kind of like flings his feet in the air to try to like get an extra couple seconds of his feet not hitting the ground.
Yeah.
But because he does that, he like removes his feet from the cylinder of the pit,
which is what actually gets him out. Yeah.
And then and then Jungwoo made it seem like he thought the rules that production decided were the rules, and he actually like used one of his feet to like push Jin Young's 2 feet out first, which I thought it was interesting. The WWE, just so you know, sir, this is a preview of things that come in the Royal Rumble. WWE has like the silliest version of this rule where if you completely fall to the ring, but you can like do a handstand and like walk on your hands, like you can walk. Like some people they just do like the goofiest shit where people can get back in the ring. So like a couple guys every Royal Rumble like just have these like really goofy ways of staying alive in the match. It's really funny.
Okay, so it's not going to be as vicious as the fight pit in Singles Inferno.
Hilarious.
It's going to be silly. Okay, good.
Like there's one wrestler that's like really known for doing like a weird survival thing in the match every year. And like one year he like jumped from the apron to the announcer table, so like his feet touch the announcer table, but that's not the floor. And then he grabbed one of the announcer seats and like used it as like a pogo stick to like bounce back to the ring.
Okay, this just sounds like grown-ass muscly men playing the floor is lava. Are we going to see grown-ass muscly men playing the floor is lava?
It is. I mean, most of the match is not that, but there will be a point at some point where that is the match. And then one year, I think we went to a Royal Rumble one year, and I think like the same guy, like he got thrown out, except his buddies like set up these like trays of pancakes on the floor, and he landed on the trays of pancakes. so he wasn't eliminated.
Okay, this is going to be a silly time.
I can't promise they're going to be that silly, but something will happen.
Okay.
It's going to be more fun than the fight pit on the show. Definitely for us, but I would hope even for most people. But okay, WWE content will be fun, I promise. If people want to come along on the journey with us on that, that'll be fun.
And then after that,
early February,
Transit Love 2. Or what's the other name for it? Exchange?
Exchange.
Yes.
As in like X's changing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that'll be fun. And more vibes of this show, probably. It's more, the show so far is like basically like Heart Signal, but with X's, so.
Okay. I do like the X component. It seems like things could get spicy.
I have some thoughts on the X component. I think it'll be interesting, but maybe less genuine than these other shows. Okay. I might be more in your camp of like this show's a little more of just a TV show than actually Fighting Love, but not all the way. I think it'll still be good. Anything else, Sarah?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com or tweet at us at keepwatchingpod or Instagram at us at keepwatchingpod or leave a comment on this YouTube video also at keepwatchingpod. And if you're feeling a little, I don't know, pumped about the end of this season and you enjoy this, you can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, which would be nice.
If you really want to impact us.
Oh, there you go. Yes. You make a big impact.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Singles Inferno. It was fun. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.